One night at the call center. Chetan. Prologue. The night train ride from Kanpur to Delhi was the most memorable journey of my life. For one, it gave me my second book. And two, it is not every day you sit in an empty compartment and a young, pretty girl walks in. Yes, you see it in the movies, you hear about it from friends, but it never happens to you. When I was younger, I used to look at the reservation chart stuck outside my train bogie to check out all the female passengers near my seat. F17 to F25 is what I'd look for most. Yet, it never happened. In most cases I shared my compartment with talkative aunties, snoring men and wailing infants. But this night was different. First, my compartment was empty. The railways had just started this new summer train and nobody knew about it. Second, I was unable to sleep. I had been to Lit Kanpur for a talk. Before leaving, I drank 4 cups of coffee in the canteen while chatting with students. Bad idea, given that it was going to be boring to spend 8 insomniac hours in an empty compartment. I had no magazines or books to read. I could hardly see anything out of the window in the darkness. I prepared myself for a silent and dull night. It was anything but that. She walked in 5 minutes after the train had left the station. She opened the curtains of my enclosure and looked puzzled. "Is coach 4, seat 63 here?" she said. The yellow light bulb in my compartment was a moody one. It flickered as I looked up at her. "Ha," I said when I saw her face. It was difficult to withdraw from the gaze of her eyes. "Actually it is. My seat is right in front of you," she answered her own question and heaved her heavy suitcase onto the upper berth. She sat down on the berth opposite me, and gave out a sigh of relief. I climbed onto the wrong coach. "Luckily the bogies are connected," she said, adjusting her long hair that ended in countless ringlets. From the corner of my eye I tried to look at her. She was young, perhaps early to mid-20s. Her waist length hair had a life of its own, a strand fell on her forehead repeatedly. I could not see her face clearly, but I could tell one thing: she was pretty. And her eyes, once you looked into them, you could not turn away. I kept my gaze down. She rearranged stuff in her handbag. I tried to look out of the window. It was completely dark. "So, pretty empty train," she said after 10 minutes. "Yes," I said. "It's the new holiday special. They just started it, without telling people about it. No wonder. Otherwise, trains are always full at this time. It will get full. Don't worry. Just give it a few days," I said and leaned forward. "Hi. I am Chetan, by the way, Chetan Bhagat." "Hi," she said and looked at me for a few seconds. "Chetan, I don't know, your name sounds familiar." Now this was cool. It meant she had heard of my first book. I am recognized rarely. And of course, it had never happened with a girl on a night train. "You might have heard of my book, 5 Point Someone." "I'm the author," I said. "Oh yes," she said and paused. "Oh yes, of course. I've read your book. The 3 Underperformers and the Prof's Daughter one, right?" she said. "Yes. So how did you like it?" "It was all right." I was taken aback. Man, I could have done with a little more of a compliment. "Here. Just all right," I said, fishing a bit too obviously. "Well," she said, and paused. "Well, what?" I said after 10 seconds. "Well. Yeah, just all right, okay types," she said. I kept quiet. She noticed the expression of mild disappointment on my face. "Anyway, nice to meet you, Chetan. Where are you coming from?" "Lit Kanpur." "Yes," I said, my voice less friendly than a few moments ago. "I had to give a talk there." "Oh really? About what?" "About my book, you know, the just okay type one." "Some people do want to hear about it," I said, keeping a sweet tone to sugarcoat my sarcasm-filled words. "Interesting," she said and turned quiet again. I was quiet too. I didn't want to speak to her anymore. I wanted my empty compartment back. The flickering yellow light above was irritating me. I wondered if I should just shut it off, but it was not that late yet. What's the next station? Is it a non-stop train? She asked after 5 minutes, obviously to make conversation. I don't know, I said and turned to look out of the windows again even though I couldn't see anything in the darkness. Is everything okay? She asked softly. Yes, why? I said, the tone of my why giving away that everything was, in fact, not okay. Nothing. You're upset about what I said about your book, right? Not really, I said. She laughed. I looked at her. Just like her gaze, her smile was arresting too. I knew she was laughing at me, but I wanted her to keep smiling. I dragged my eyes away again. Listen. I know your book did well. You are like this youth writer and everything. But at one level, just forget it. What? I said. At one level, you are hardly a youth writer. I turned silent and looked at her for a few seconds. Her magnetic eyes had a soft but insistent gaze. I thought I wrote a book about college kids. That isn't youth. I said. Yeah, right. So you wrote a book on lit. A place where so few people get to go. You think that represents the entire youth? She asked and took out a box of mints from her bag. She offered me one, but I declined. I wanted to get this straight. So what are you trying to say? I had to start somewhere, so I wrote about my college experiences. And you know the story is not so lit specific. It could have happened anywhere. I mean, just for that you are trashing my book. I am not trashing it. I am just saying it hardly represents the Indian youth, she said and shut the box of mints. Oh really, I began, but was interrupted by the noise as the train passed over a long bridge. We didn't speak for the next 3 minutes, until the train had returned to smoother tracks. What represents the youth? I said. I don't know. You're the writer. You figure it out, she said, and brushed aside a few curls that had fallen on her forehead. That's not fair, I said, that is so not fair. I sounded like a 5-year-old throwing a tantrum. She smiled as she saw me grumbling to myself. A few seconds later, she spoke again. Are you going to write more books? She said. I'll try to, I said. I wasn't sure if I ever wanted to talk to her again. So what is it going to be? IIMs this time? She said. No, why not? Because it does not represent the country's youth. She started laughing. See, I am taking feedback. And now you laugh at me, I said. No, she said. I am not laughing at you. Can you stop being so sensitive? I am not oversensitive. I just want to take feedback, I said and turned my face away. Well now. Let me explain. See, I just felt the whole IITM thing is cool. And all, but what does it all mean in the broader sense? Yes, the book sells and you get to go to Lit Kanpur. But is that what it is all about? She said. Well, then what is it about? If you want to write about the youth, shouldn't you talk about young people who really face challenges? I mean, yes, IITians face challenges, but what about the hundreds and thousands of others? Like whom? Just look around you. What is the biggest segment of youth facing challenges in modern India? I don't know. Students. Not those, Mr. Writer. Get out of the student campus of your first book now. Anything else you see that you find strange and interesting? I mean, what is the subject of your second novel? I turned to look at her carefully for the first time. Maybe it was the time of night, but I kid you not, she was one of the most beautiful women I had ever seen. Everything about her was perfect. Her face was like that of a child. She wore a little bindi, which was hard to focus on as her eyes came in the way. I tried to focus on her question. Second novel? No, haven't thought of a subject yet, I said. Really? Don't you have any ideas? I do. But nothing I am sure about. Interesting, she drawled. Well, just bask in your first book's success then. We kept quiet for the next half an hour. I took out the contents of my overnight bag and rearranged them for no particular reason. I wondered if it even made sense to change into a nightsuit. I was not going to fall asleep anyway. Another train noisily trundled past us in the opposite direction, leaving silence behind. I might have a story idea for you, she said, startling me. Ha! I was wary of what she was going to say. For no matter what her idea was, I had to appear interested. What is it? It is a story about a call center. Really? I said. Call centers as in business process outsourcing centers or BPOs. Yes, do you know anything about them? I thought about it. I did know about call centers, mostly from my cousins who worked there. Yes, I know a little bit, I said. Some 300,000 people work in the industry. They help US companies in the sales, service and maintenance of their operations. Usually, younger people work there in night shifts. Quite interesting, actually. Just interesting. Have you ever thought of what all they have to face? She asked, her voice turning firm again. Not really, I said. Why? They aren't the youth. You don't want to write about them, she said, almost scolding me. Listen, let's not start arguing again. I'm not arguing. I told you that I have a call center story for you. I looked at my watch. It was 12:30 a.m. A story would not be such a bad idea to kill time, I thought. Let's hear it then, I said. I'll tell you. But I have a condition, she said. Condition? I was intrigued. What? That I don't tell it to anyone else? I asked. No. Just the opposite, in fact. You have to promise me to write it as your second book. What? I said, almost falling from my seat. Well. Now that was something. Okay, so I meet a girl who appears interesting and has a nice pair of eyes and looks like she can tell me a story to kill time. However, it does not mean I will spend 2 years of my life turning it into a book. Like a full book. Are you kidding? I can't promise that. It's a lot of work, I said. Up to you, she said and turned silent. I waited for 10 seconds. She did not speak. Can't I decide after you tell me the story? I said. If it is interesting, I may even do it. But how can I decide without listening to it? No. It is not about choice. If I tell you, you have to write it, she said. A whole book? I asked again. Yes. Like it's your own story. In first person, just like in your first book. I'll give you the contacts of the people in the story. You can meet them, do your research, whatever it takes, but make it your second book. Well then, I think it's better if you don't tell me, I said. Okay, she said and became quiet. She got up to spread a bed sheet on her berth, and then arranged her pillow and blanket. I guessed she was planning to go to sleep. I checked my watch again. It was 1 a.m., and I was still wide awake. This was a non-stop train, and there were no stations to look forward to until Delhi in the morning. She switched off the flickering yellow light. Now the only light in the compartment was an eerie blue one. I couldn't figure out where the bulb was. It felt strange, like we were the only two people in the universe. As she was sliding under her blanket, I asked, "What is the story about? At least tell me a little bit more." "Will you do it then?" I shrugged in the semi-darkness. "Can't say. Don't tell me the story yet, just tell me what it is about." She nodded and sat up. Folding her legs beneath her, she began talking. "All right," she said, "it is a story about 6 people in a call center on one night." "Just one night? Like this one?" I interrupted. "Yes, one night. One night at the call center. You sure that can be a full book? I mean, what is so special about this night?" She heaved a sigh and took a sip from her bottle of mineral water. "You see," she said, "it wasn't like any other night. It was the night there was a phone call." "What?" I said and burst out laughing. "So a call center gets a phone call. That is the special part." She did not smile back. She waited for me to stop laughing and then continued as if I hadn't said anything. You see, it wasn't an ordinary phone call. It was the night there was a phone call from God. Her words had me spring to attention. What? You heard me. That night there was a phone call from God, she said. What exactly are you talking about? I just told you what the story was about. You asked, remember? She said. And then, how? I'm not telling you anymore. Now you know what it's about. If you want to hear the story, you know my condition. That is a tough condition, I said. I know. Up to you, she said and lifted her blanket again. She lay down and closed her eyes. 6 people. One night. Call center. Call from God. The phrases kept repeating in my head as another hour passed. At 2 a.m. she woke up to have a sip of water. Not sleeping, she asked, with eyes only half open. Maybe there was a voltage problem, but this time even the blue light in the compartment started flickering. No, not sleepy at all, I said. Okay, good night anyway, she said, and began to lie down again. Listen, I said. Get up. Sit down again. Ha, she said, rubbing her eyes. Why? What happened? Nothing. You tell me what happened. Tell me the story, I said. So you will write it? Yes, I said, with a bit of hesitation. Good, she said, and sat up again. The cross-legged position was back. The rest of the night, she told me the story that begins from the next page. It is a story about 6 people, 3 guys and 3 girls who worked at the Connections call center. I chose to tell the story through Shyam's eyes. This is because, after I met him, I found him the most similar to me as a person. The rest of the people and what happened that night, well, I will let Shyam tell you that. From #29. Otherwise. Esha said. Otherwise we die, Vroom said. We stayed quiet for a minute. Everyone dies one day, I said, just to break the silence. Maybe it is simpler this way. Just end life rather than deal with it, Vroom said. I nodded. I was nervous and I was glad Vroom was making small talk. My main question is, what if no one finds us even after we die? What happens then? Vroom said. The vultures will find us. They always do. I saw it on Discovery Channel, I said. See, that makes me uncomfortable. I don't like the idea of sharp beaks tearing my muscles, cracking my bones and ripping me to shreds. Plus, my body will be smelling like hell. I'd rather be burnt in a dignified manner and go up in that one last ultimate puff of smoke. Can you guys stop this nonsense? At least be silent, Esha said and folded her arms. Vroom smiled at her. Then he turned to me. I don't think Esha will smell too much. Her Calvin Klein perfume will keep her carcass fresh for days. #1. I was splashing my hands in the water pointlessly in the sea. I can't even swim in a pond, let alone in the Indian Ocean. I was in the water while my boss Bakshi was in a boat next to me. He was pushing my head down in the water. I saw Priyanka drifting away in a lifeboat. I screamed even as Bakshi used both his hands to keep my head submerged. Salt water filled my mouth and nostrils as I heard loud beeps at a distance. My nightmare ended as my cell phone alarm rang hard in my left ear and I woke up to its last Christmas ringtone. The ringtone was a gift from Shfali, my new semi-girlfriend. I squinted through a half-shut eye and lifted the cell phone. 8:32p.m. surrounded by little bells flashed on the screen. Damn, I said and jumped out of bed. I would have loved to analyze my dream and its significance in my insignificant life, but I had to get dressed for work. Man, the qualies will be here in 20 minutes, I thought, digging matter out of my eye. I was still tired, but scared to sleep more because I was getting late. Besides, there was a serious risk of Bakshi making a comeback in my dreams. By the way, hi. I am Shyam Mira, or Sam Marcy as they call me at my workplace, the Connections call center in Gurgaon. American tongues have trouble saying my real name and prefer Sam. If you want, you can give me another name too. I really don't care. Anyway, I am a call center agent. There are hundreds of thousands, probably millions of agents like me. But this total pain in the neck author chose me, of all the agents in the country. He met me and told me to help him with his second book. In fact, he near as well wanted me to write the book for him. I declined, saying I can't even write my resume or even other simple things in life. There is no way I can write a whole damn book. I explained to him how my promotion to the position of team leader had been put off for 1 year because my manager Bakshi had told me I don't have the required skill set yet. In my review, Bakshi wrote that I was not a go-getter. I don't even know what go-getter means, so I guess I'm not one for sure. But this author said he didn't care. He had promised someone he'd do this story, so I'd better cooperate, otherwise he would keep pestering me. I tried my best to wriggle out of it, but he wouldn't let go of me. I finally relented, and that's why I'm stuck with this assignment, while you are stuck with me. I also want to give you one more warning. My English is not that great, actually. Nothing about me is great. So, if you are looking for something posh and highbrow, then I'd suggest you read another book which has some big many-syllable words. I know only one big, many-syllable word, and I hate that word, management. But we'll get to that later. I told the author about my limited English. However, the pain in the neck author said big emotions do not come from big words. So, I had no choice but to do the job. I hate authors. For now, let us go back to the story. If you remember, I had just woken up at my home. There were noises in the living room. Some relatives were in town to attend a family wedding. My neighbor was getting married to his cousin. Sorry, I was too groggy to figure this out. No, my cousin was getting married to his neighbor. But I had to work, so I could not go to the wedding. It doesn't matter, all marriages are the same, more or less. I reached the bathroom still half asleep. It was already occupied. The bathroom door was open. I saw 5 of my aunts scrambling to get a few square inches of the wash basin mirror. One aunt was cursing her daughter for leaving the matching bindis at home. Another aunt had lost the little screw of her gold earring and was flipping out. "It is pure gold, where is it?" she screamed into my face. "Has the maid stolen it?" Like the maid had nothing better to do than steal one tiny screw. Wouldn't she steal the whole set? I thought. "Auntie, can I use the bathroom for 5 minutes? I need to get ready for office," I said. "Oh hello, Shyam. Woke up finally," my mother's sister said. "Office? You are not coming for the wedding?" "No, I have to work." "Can I have the bath? Look how big Shyam has become," my maternal aunt said. "We need to find a girl for him soon." Everyone burst into giggles. It was their biggest joke of the day. "Can I please?" I said. "Shyam, leave the ladies alone," one of my older cousins interrupted. "What are you doing here with the women? We are already so late for the wedding." "But I have to go to work. I need to get dressed," I protested, trying to elbow my way to the bathroom tap. "You work in a call center, right?" my cousin said. "Yes. Your work is through the phone. Why do you need to dress up? Who is going to see you?" I didn't answer. "Use the kitchen sink," an aunt suggested and handed me my toothbrush. I gave them all a dirty look. Nobody noticed. I passed by the living room on my way to the kitchen. The uncles were outside, on their second whiskey and soda. One uncle said something about how it would be better if my father were still alive and around this evening. I reached the kitchen. The floor was so cold I felt I had stepped on an ice tray. I realized I had forgotten soap. I went back, but the bathroom door was bolted. There was no hot water in the kitchen, and my face froze as I washed it with cold water. Winter in Delhi is a bitch. I brushed my teeth and used the steel plates as a mirror to comb my hair. Shyam had turned into Sam and Sam's day had just begun. I was hungry, but there was nothing to eat in the house. Because they'd be getting food at the wedding, my mother had felt there was no need to cook at home. The Quali's horn screamed at 8:55 p.m. As I was about to leave, I realized I had forgotten my ID. I went to my room, but could not find it. I tried to find my mother instead. She was in her bedroom, lost in more aunties, saris and jewelry sets. She and my aunts were doing some major weight comparisons of which aunt's set was heaviest. Usually the heaviest aunt had the heaviest set. "Mom, have you seen my ID?" I said. Everyone ignored me. I went back to my room as the Qualys honked for the fourth time. "Damn, there it is," I said as I finally located the ID under my bed. I pulled it out by its strap and strung it around my neck. I waved a goodbye to everyone, but no one acknowledged me. It wasn't surprising, I am only cared for so much. Every cousin of mine is becoming a doctor or engineer. You can say I am the black sheep of my family. Though I do not think that expression is correct. After all, what's wrong with black sheep? Don't people wear black sweaters? But you get an idea of my status in my clan. In fact, the only reason people somewhat talk to me is I have a job and get a salary at the end of the month. You see, I used to work in the website department of an ad agency before this call center job. However, the ad agency paid horrible money. Also, all the people there were pseudos, more interested in office politics than websites. I quit, and all hell broke loose at home. That is when the black sheep term was tagged onto me. I saved myself by joining connections, as with money in your wallet the world gives you some respect and lets you breathe. Connections was also the natural choice for me, as Priyanka worked there. Of course, that reason was no longer relevant. My aunt finally found the gold screw trapped in her fake hair bun. The Qualys horn screamed again, this time in an angry tone. "I'm coming," I shouted as I ran out of the house. #2. "What, Sahib?" "Late again," the driver said as I took the front seat. Sorry. Military uncle's place first." I panted to the driver. "Yes," he replied, looking at his watch. "Can we reach the call center by 10 p.m.? I have to meet someone before their shift ends," I said. "Depends if your colleagues come on time," the driver replied laconically as he drove towards military uncle's house. "Anyway, let's pick up the old man first. Military uncle hates it if we are late." I prepared myself for some dirty looks. His tough manner comes from the army background, from which he retired a few years ago. At 50 plus, he is the oldest person in the call center. I do not know him well, and I won't talk about him much. But I do know that he used to stay with his son and daughter-in-law before he moved out, thrown out, to be on his own. The pension was meager, and he tried to supplement his income by working in the call center. However, he hates to talk and is not a voice agent. He sits on the solitary online chat and email station. Even though he sits in our room, his desk is at a far corner near the fax machine. He rarely speaks more than 3 words at a time. Most of his interactions with us are limited to giving us condescending "you young people" glances. The Qualys stopped outside Uncle's house. He was waiting at the entrance. "Late?" Uncle said, looking at the driver. Without answering, the driver got out to open the Qualys' back door. Uncle climbed in, ignored the middle seat and sat at the back. He probably wanted to sit as far away from me as possible. Uncle gave me an "it must be your fault" look. Older people think they have a natural right to judge you. I looked away. The driver took a U-turn to go to Radhika's house. One of the unique features about my team is that we not only work together, we also share the same Qualys. Through a bit of route planning and driver persuasion, we ensured that my Western Appliances strategic group all came and left together. There are 6 of us: military uncle, Radhika, Esha, Vroom, Priyanka and me. The Qualys moved to Radhika J, or Agent Regina Jones's house. As usual, Radhika was late. "Radhika madam is too much," the driver said, continuously pressing the horn. I looked at my watch anxiously. I didn't want Shfali to throw a tantrum. 6 minutes later Radhika came running towards us, clutching the ends of her maroon shawl in her right hand. Sorry, she said a dozen times before we could say anything. "What?" I asked her as the QALYs moved again. Nothing. Almond milk for mom-in-law. Took longer to crush the almonds, she said, leaning back exhausted in her seat. She had taken the middle seat. Ask mom-in-law to make her own milk, I suggested. Come on Shyam, she said, she is so old, it is the least I can do, especially when her son is not here. Yeah, right, I shrugged. Just that and cooking 3 meals a day and household chores and working all night and, sure, she said, forget all that. Any news on the call center? I'm scared. Nothing new from what Vroom told me. We have no new orders, call volumes are at an all-time low, connections is doomed. Just a question of when, I said. Really, her eyes widened. It was true. You might have heard of those swanky, new age call centers where everything is hunky-dory, clients are plenty and agents get aromatherapy massages. Well, our connections was not one of them. We live off one and only one client, Western Computers and Appliances. And even their call flow had dwindled. Rumors that the call center would collapse floated in every day. You think connections will close down? Like forever? Radhika asked. Uncle raised an eyebrow to look at us, but soon went back to brooding by himself in the back seat. I sometimes wished he would say more, but I guess it's better for people to shut up rather than say something nasty. That, or they will do major job cuts. Ask Vroom, I said. The QALYs moved painfully slow as it was a heavy wedding date in Delhi. On every street, there was a wedding procession. We edged forward as the driver dodged several fat grooms on their overburdened horses. I checked the time again. Shfali would do some serious sulking today. I need this job. Anuj and I need to save, Radhika said, more to herself. Anuj was Radhika's husband. She married him 3 years ago after a whirlwind courtship in college. She now lived in a joint family with Anuj's ultra-traditional parents. It was tough for Daddy's only girl, but it's amazing what people do for love. The driver drove to Esha Singh's, or Agent Eliza Singh's, place next. She was already outside her house. The driver kept the QALY's ignition on as he opened the back door. Esha entered the QALY's and the smell of expensive perfume filled the vehicle. She sat next to Radhika in the middle row and removed her suede jacket. Nice. What is it? Radhika said. You noticed, Esha was pleased. Escape, by Calvin Klein. She bent her knees and adjusted the tassels at the end of her long, dark brown skirt. Oh. Went shopping. Radhika said. Call it a momentary lapse of reason, Esha said. The driver finally reached a stretch of empty road and raced the QALYs fast. I looked at Esha again. Her dress sense is impeccable. Esha dresses better on an average day than I ever did in my whole life. Her sleeveless coffee-colored top perfectly contrasted with her skirt. She wore chunky brown earrings that looked edible and her lipstick was a thick cocoa, as if she had just kissed a bowl of chocolate sauce. Her eyes had at least one of these things, mascara, eyeliner and /or eyeshadow, I can't tell, but Priyanka told me they are all different things. The Lakme Fashion Week is in 4 months. My agent is trying to get me an assignment, Esha said to Radhika. Esha wanted to become a model. She was hot, at least according to people at the call center. 2 months ago, some agents in the Western Computers Bay conducted a stupid poll in office. You know, the secret ones that everyone knows about anyway. People vote for various titles, like who is hot, who is handsome and who is pretty. Esha won the title of the hottest chick at Connections. She acted very dismissive of the poll results, but from that day there's been just this tiny hint of vanity in her. But otherwise, she is fine. She moved to Delhi from Chandigarh a year ago, against her parents' wishes. The call center job helps her earn a regular income, but during the day she approaches agencies and tries to get modeling assignments. She's taken part in some low-key fashion shows in West Delhi. But apart from that and the hottest chick in-house title, nothing big has come her way so far. Priyanka once told me, making me swear that I'd keep it to myself, that she thinks Esha will never make it as a real model. Esha is too short and too small town for a real model, is what she said exactly. But Priyanka doesn't know crap. Esha is 5'5", only 2 inches shorter than me, and 1 inch taller than me with her heels. I think that is quite tall for a girl. And the whole small town thing, that just went over my head. Esha is only 22, give her a chance. And Chandigarh is not a small town, it is a union territory and the administrative capital of 2 states. But Priyanka's geography is crap as well. I think Priyanka is just jealous. All non-hot girls are jealous of the hot ones. Priyanka wasn't even considered for the hottest chick. Now, I do find Priyanka nice looking, and she did get a nomination for the Call Center Cutie Award, which I think is just because of her dimples and cute round face. But Priyanka didn't win. Some girl in HR won that. We had to pick Vroom next. His real name is Varun Malhotra, or Agent Victor Mel. However, everyone calls him Vroom because of his love for anything on wheels. The Quallies turned into the lane of Vroom's house. He was sitting on his bike, waiting for us. "What's the bike for?" I said, craning out of the window. "I'm coming on my own," Vroom said, adjusting his leather gloves. He wore black jeans and trekking shoes that made his thin legs look extra long. His dark blue sweatshirt had the Ferrari horse logo on it. "Are you crazy?" I said. "It's so cold. Get in, we're late already." Dragging the bike, he came and stood next to me. "No, I'm stressed today. I need to get it out of me with a fast ride." He was standing right beside me and only I could hear him. "What happened?" "Nothing. Dad called. He argued with Mom for 2 hours." "Why did they separate?" "They can't live without screaming their guts out at each other." "It's okay, man. Not your problem," I said. Vroom's dad was a businessman who parted from his wife 2 years ago. He preferred banging his secretary to being with his family, so Vroom and his mother now lived without him. I couldn't sleep at all. Just lay in bed all day and now I feel sick. "Need to get some energy back," Vroom said as he straddled his bike. "But it's freezing, dude," I began. "What is going on, Shyam Sahib?" the driver asked. I turned around. The driver looked at me with a puzzled expression. I shrugged my shoulders. "He's coming on his bike," I told everyone. "Come with me," Vroom said to me. "I'll make you reach in half the time." "No thanks," I said, and folded my hands. I was not leaving the cozy Quallies to go anywhere. Vroom bent over to greet the driver. "Hello, Driver Sahib," Vroom said. "Vroom Sahib, don't you like my Quallies?" the driver said, visibly dejected. "No, Driver Ji, I am in a mood to ride," Vroom said, and offered a pack of cigarettes to the driver. The driver took one. Vroom signaled him to keep the whole pack. "Drive the Quallies if you want," the driver said and lifted his hands off the steering wheel. "No. Maybe later. Right now I need to fly." "Hey Vroom. Any news on connections? Anything happening?" Radhika asked, adjusting her hair. Apart from the dark circles around her eyes, you would say Radhika was pretty. She had high cheekbones and her fair skin went well with her wispy eyebrows and soot black eyes. Her sleep-deprived face still looked nice. She wore a plain mustard sari, as saris were all she could wear in her in-laws' house. This was different apparel from the jeans and skirts Radhika preferred before her marriage. "No updates. We'll dig for stuff today, but I think Bakshi will screw us all." "Hey Shyam, the website manual is all done, by the way. I emailed it to office," Vroom said and started his bike. "Cool, finally. Let's send it in today," I said, perking up. We left Vroom and moved to our last pickup at Priyanka's place. It was 9:30 p.m., still an hour away from our shift. However, I was worried as Shfali finished her shift and left by 10:20 p.m. Fortunately, Priyanka was standing at her pickup point when we reached her place. "Hi," Priyanka said, as she entered the Quallies and sat next to Esha in the middle seat. She carried a large, white plastic bag apart from her usual giant handbag. "Hi," everyone replied except me. I said hi, Shyam, Priyanka said. I pretended not to hear. "It is strange, but ever since we broke up, I find it difficult to talk to her. Even though I must think of her 30 times a day. I looked at her. She adjusted her dupatta around her neck. The forest green salwar kameez she was wearing was new, I noticed. The color suited her light brown skin. I looked at her nose and her nostrils that flared up every time she was upset. I swear tiny flames appeared in them when she was mad. Shyam, I said hi, she said again. She gets really pissed if people don't respond to her. Hi, I said. I wondered if Bakshi would finally promote me after he saw my website manual tonight. Where's Vroom? Priyanka said. She has to know everything all the time. Vroom is riding, Vroom, Esha said, making a motorbike noise. Nice perfume, Esha. Shopping again, eh? Priyanka said and sniffed, puckering up that tiny nose. Escape, Calvin Klein, Esha announced and struck a pose. Wow. Someone is going designer, Priyanka said, and both of them laughed. This is something I will never understand about her. Priyanka has bitched 50 times about Esha to me, yet when they are with each other, they behave like long-lost sisters. Esha, big date coming. Radhika said. No dates. I'm still so single. Suitable guys are an endangered species, Esha said, and all the girls laughed. It wasn't that funny if you ask me. I wished Vroom was in the qualies too. He is the only person in my team I can claim as a friend. At 22 he is 4 years younger than I am, but I still find it easiest to talk to him. Radhika's household talk is too alien to me. Esha's modeling trip is also beyond me, as no one is ever going to pay me for my looks. I am certainly not good looking. My day is made if someone describes my looks as slightly above average. Priyanka was a friend and a lot more until recently. 4 months ago, we broke up, Priyanka's version, or she dumped me, my version. So now I try to do what she wants us to do, move on, which is why I hang out with Shfali. Beep beep. Beep beep. 2 pairs of loud beeps from my shirt's pocket startled everyone. Whose is that? Priyanka said. Oh, sorry. It's my SMS, I said and opened the new message. Where are you, my Eddie Teddy? Come soon, curly Verly. It was Shfali. She is into cheesy nicknames these days. I replied to the SMS. Quali's stuck in traffic, will be there soon. Who's that? Esha asked me. Nobody important, I said. Shfali. Radhika said. No, I said, and everybody looked at me. No, I said again. Yes, it is. It is Shfali, isn't it? Esha and Radhika said together and laughed. Why does Shfali always baby talk? I heard Esha whisper to Radhika. More titters followed. Whatever, I said and looked at my watch. The qualies was still on the NH8, at the entrance to Gurgaon. We were 10 minutes away from connections. Cool, we'll meet Shfali by 10:10, I thought. Can we stop for a quick tea at Indrajit? We will still make it by 10:30, Priyanka said. Indrajit Dabar on NH8 was famous for its all-night tea and snacks among truck drivers. We won't get late. Radhika crinkled her forehead. Of course not. Driver G saved us 20 minutes in the last stretch. Come Driver G, my treat, Priyanka said. Good idea. Will keep me awake, Esha said. The driver slowed the qualies near Indrajit Dabar and parked it near the counter. Hey guys, do we have to stop? We will get late, I protested against the chai. Chorus. We won't get late. Let's treat Driver G for making us reach fast, Priyanka said and got out of the qualies. She just has to do things I don't want to do. He wants to be with Shfali, dude, Esha elbowed Radhika. They guffawed again. What is so damn funny, I wanted to ask, but didn't. No, I just like to reach my shift a few minutes early, I said and got out of the qualies. Military uncle and the driver followed us. Indrajit Dabar had anjithis next to each table. I smelled hot paranthas, but did not order as it was getting late. The driver arranged plastic chairs for us. Indrajit's minions collected tea orders as per the various complicated rules laid out by the girls. No sugar in mine, Esha said. Extra hot for me, Radhika said. With cardamom for me, Priyanka said. When we were in college together, Priyanka used to make cardamom tea for me in her hostel room. Her taste in men might have changed, but obviously not her taste in beverages. The tea arrived in 3 minutes. So what's the gossip? Priyanka said as she cupped her hands around the glass for warmth. Apart from cardamom, Priyanka's favorite spice is gossip. No gossip. You tell us, things are happening in your life, Radhika said. I actually do have something to tell, Priyanka said with a sly smile. What? Radhika and Esha exclaimed together. I'll tell you when we get to the bay. It's big, Priyanka said. Tell now, Esha said, poking Priyanka's shoulder. No time. Someone is in a desperate hurry, Priyanka said, glancing meaningfully at me. I turned away. Okay, I also have something to share. But don't tell anyone, Esha said. What? Radhika said. See, Esha said and stood up. She raised her top to expose a flat midriff, on which there was a newborn ring. Cool, check it out, Priyanka said, someone's turning trendy. Military uncle stared as if in a state of shock. I suspect he was never young, was just born straight 40 years old. What's that? A navel ring? Radhika asked. Esha nodded and covered herself again. Did it hurt? Radhika said. Oh yes, Esha said. Imagine someone stapling your tummy hard. Esha's statement churned my stomach. Shall we go, I said, gulping down my tea. Let's go, girls, or Mr. Conscientious will get upset, Priyanka suppressed a smirk. I hate her. I went to the counter to pay the bill. I saw Vroom watching TV. Vroom. I said. Hi. What are you guys doing here, he said. I told him about the girls' tea idea. I arrived 20 minutes ago, man, Vroom said. He extinguished his cigarette and showed me the butt. This was my first. Vroom was trying to cut down to 4 cigarettes a night. However, with Bakshi in our life, it was impossible. Can you rush me to the call center? Shfali will leave soon, I said. Vroom's eyes were transfixed on the TV set on Inderjeet Dabar's counter. The NDTV news channel was on, and Vroom is a sucker for it. He worked in a newspaper once and is generally into social and global issues and all that stuff. He thinks that just by watching the news, he can change the world. That, by the way, is his trip. A TV reporter was speaking in front of Parliament House, announcing elections in 4 months. Hey, I know that guy. He used to work in my previous job, Vroom said. The newspaper. Yes, Boontu we used to call him, total loser guy. Didn't know he moved to television. Check out his contact lenses, Vroom said, as both of us paid the bill. Let's go, man. Shfali will kill me. Shfali. Oh, you mean Curly Verly, Vroom laughed. Shut up, man. She has to catch the qualies after her shift. This is the only time I get with her. On one hand you had Priyanka, and now you sink to Shfali levels, Vroom said, and bent his elbow to rest his 6 feet 2 inches frame on the Dabar counter. What's wrong with Shfali? I said, shuffling from one foot to the other. Nothing. Just that it is nice to have a girlfriend with half a brain. Why are you wasting your time with her? I'm weaning myself off Priyanka. I'm trying to move on in life, I said, and took a sweet from the candy jar at the counter. So what's Shfali, a pacifier? What happened to the reproposal plan with Priyanka? Vroom said. I've told you. Not until I become team leader. Which should be soon, maybe tonight after we submit the website manual. Now can we please go? I said. Yeah, right. Some hopes you live on, Vroom said, but moved away from the counter. I held on tight as Vroom zipped through NH8 at 120 kilometers an hour. I closed my eyes and prayed Shfali would not be mad, and that I would reach alive. Beep beep. Beep beep. My mobile went off again. Curly Verly is sad, Eddie Teddy is very bad, I leave in 10 minutes. I jumped off the bike as Vroom reached the call center. The bike jerked forward and Vroom had to use both his legs to balance. Easy man, Vroom said in an irritated voice. Can you just let me park? Sorry. I'm really late, I said and ran inside. #3. I'm not talking to you, Shfali said and started playing with one of her silver earrings. The ring-shaped earrings were so large, they could be bangles. Sorry, Shfali. My bay people made the qualies late. I stood next to her, leaning against her desk. She sat on her swivel chair and rotated it 90 degrees away from me to showcase her sulking. The dozens of workstations in her bay were empty as all the other agents had left. Whatever. I thought you were their team leader, she said, and pretended to work on her computer. I am not the team leader. I am due, but not one yet, I said. Why don't they make you team leader? She turned to me and fluttered her eyes. I hate this expression of hers. I don't know. Back, she said. He's trying, but I have to bring my leadership skills up to speed. What is up to speed? She said and opened her handbag. I don't know. Improve my skills, I guess. So you guys don't have any team leader? No. Back, she says we have to manage without one. I help with supervisory stuff for now. But back, she told me I have strong future potential. So why doesn't your team listen to you? Who says they don't? Of course they do. So why were you late? She said, beginning her sentence with a so for the third time. Shfali, come on, drop that, I said, looking at my watch. How did your shift go? Shift was okay. Team leader said call volumes have dropped for Western computers. All customers are using the troubleshooting website now. Cool. You do know who made that, right? Yes, you and Vroom. But I don't think you should make a big deal out of it. The website has cost Connections a lot of business. But the website helps the customers a lot, right? I said. Don't talk about the website here. Some agents are very upset. Someone said they would cut people. Really? I don't know. Listen, why are you so unromantic? Is this how Eddie Teddy should talk to his curly verly? I wanted to know more about what was going on at Connections. Back, she was super secretive. All he said was there were some confidential management priorities. I thought of asking Vroom to spy some more. Eddie Teddy. Shfali repeated. I looked at her. If she stopped wearing Hello Kitty hairpins, she could be passably cute. Ha. Are you listening to me? Of course. Did you like my gift? What gift? The ringtones. I gave you 6 ringtones. See, you don't even remember, she said, and her face turned sad. I do. See, I put Last Christmas as my tone, I said, and picked up my phone to play it. Vroom would probably kill me if he heard it, but I had to for Shfali. So cute, Shfali said and pinched my cheeks. So cute it sounds, my Eddie Teddy. Shfali, what? Can you stop calling me that? Why? You don't like it? Just call me Shyam. You don't like the name I gave you, she said, her voice transcending from sad to tragic. I kept quiet. You never tell women you don't like something they have done. However, they pick up on the silence. That means you don't like the ringtones either, she said, and her voice started to break. I do, I said, fearing a round of crying. I love the ringtones. And what about the name? You can choose another name if you want. I am not like your other girlfriends, she said, and tiny tears appeared in her eyes. I looked at my watch. 3 more minutes and time will heal everything, I thought. I took a deep breath. 180 seconds and she would have to leave for sure. Sometimes counting seconds is a great way to kill time through a woman's tantrums. What kind of girlfriends? I said. Like, she sniffled, bossy girls who impose their way on you. Like you know who. Who? What are you implying? I said, my voice getting firmer. It was true. Priyanka could be bossy, but only if you didn't listen to her. Forget it. But will you give me a name if I stop crying? Her sobs were at a serious risk of transforming into a full-fledged bawl. Yes, I said. I'd rename the rest of her family if she stopped this drama. Okay, she said, and became normal. Give me a name. I thought hard. Nothing came to mind. Sheffy. How about Sheffy? I said finally. No. I want something cutier, she said. Shfali loves to drag out words. I can't think of anything cute right now. I have to work. Isn't your colleague leaving soon too? I said. She looked at her watch and stood up. Yes, I better leave now. Will you think of a name by tomorrow? She said. I will, bye now. Give me a kissy, she said, and tapped a finger on her cheek. What? Kissy? You mean a kiss? Yeah, sure. I gave her a peck on the cheek and turned around to return to my bay. Bye-bye, Eddie Teddy, her voice followed me. #4. The others were already at the desk when I returned from Shfali's bay. Our bay's name is the Western Appliances Strategic Group, or WASG. Unlike the other bay that troubleshoots for computer customers, we deal with customers of home appliances such as refrigerators, ovens and vacuum cleaners. Management calls us the Strategic Bay because we specialize in troublesome and painful customers. These strategic customers call a lot and are too dumb to figure out things. Actually, the latter applies to a lot of callers. We feel special, as we are not part of the main computers bay. The main bay has over 1,000 agents and handles the huge Western Computers account. While the calls are less weird there, they miss the privacy we enjoy in the WASG. I came and took my seat at the long rectangular table. We have a fixed seating arrangement. I sit next to Vroom, while Priyanka is right opposite me. Esha is adjacent to Priyanka and Radhika sits next to Esha. The bay is an open plan, so we can all see each other. Military Uncle's chat station is at the corner of the room. At each of the other 3 corners, there are, respectively, the restrooms, a conference room and a stationery supplies room. However, no one apart from Uncle was at their seat when I sat down. Everyone had gathered around Priyanka. What's the news? Tell us now, Esha was saying. Okay. But on one condition. It doesn't leave the WASG, Priyanka said, sitting down. She pulled out a large plastic bag from under her seat. Guys, I said, interrupting their banter. Everyone turned to look at me. I pointed at the desk and the unmanned phones. I looked at my watch. It was 10:29 p.m. The call system routine backup was about to finish, and our calls would begin in a minute. Everyone returned to their chairs and put on their headsets. Good evening, everyone. Please pay attention to this announcement, a loud voice filled our bay. I looked up. The voice came from the fire drill speaker. I hate these irritating announcements, Priyanka said. This is the control room, the speaker continued. This is to inform all agents of a fire drill next Friday at midnight. Please follow instructions during the fire drill to leave the call center safely. Thank you. Have a nice shift. Why do they keep doing this? Nobody is going to burn this place down, Esha said. Government rules, Vroom said. Conversation stopped midway as 2 beeps on the computer screen signaled the start of our shift. Calls began at 10:31 p.m. Numbers started flashing on our common switchboard as we picked up calls one after the other. Good afternoon, Western Appliances, Victor speaking, how may I help you? Vroom said as he took one of his first calls. Yes, according to my records I am speaking to Ms. Smith, and you have the WAF 200 dishwasher. Is that right? Esha said. Esha's memory impressed the caller. It was not a big deal, given that our automated system had every caller's records. We knew their name, address, credit card details and past purchases from Western Appliances. We also had details on when they last called us. In fact, the reason why her call had come to our desk, the Western Appliances strategic desk, was because she was a persistent caller. This way the main bay could continue to run smoothly. Sometimes we had customers that were oddballs even by WASG standards. I will not go into all of them, but Vroom's 10:37 p.m. call went something like this. Yes, Ms. Paulson, of course we remember you. Happy Thanksgiving, I hope you are making a big turkey in our WA100 model oven, Vroom said, reading from a script that reminded us about the American festival of the day. I could not hear the customer's side of the conversation, but Ms. Paulson was obviously explaining her problem with the oven. No, Ms. Paulson, you shouldn't have unscrewed the cover, Vroom said, as politely as possible. No, really, madam. An electrical appliance like the WA100 should only be serviced by trained professionals, Vroom said, reading verbatim from the WA100 service manual. Ms. Paulson spoke for another minute. Our strategic bay hardly had a reputation for efficiency, but long calls like these could screw up Vroom's response times. See, madam, you need to explain to me why you opened the top cover. Then perhaps we'll understand why you got an electric shock, so tell me, yes, oh. Really? Vroom continued, taking deep breaths. Patience, key to becoming a star agent, did not come naturally to him. I looked around, people were busy with calls. Radhika helped someone defrost her fridge, Esha assisted a customer in unpacking a dishwasher. Everyone was speaking with an American accent and sounded different from how they had in the qualies. I took a break from the calls to compile the call statistics of the previous day. I did not particularly like doing this, but Bakshi had left me with little choice. See, Madam Vroom was still with Miss Paulson. I understand your turkey did not fit and you did not want to cut it, but you should not have opened up the equipment. But see, that is not the equipment's fault. I can't really tell you what to do. I understand your son is coming, madam. Now if you had the WA-150, that is a bigger size, Vroom said, beginning to breathe faster. Miss Paulson ranted on for a while longer. Miss Paulson, I suggest you take the oven to your dealer as soon as possible, Vroom said firmly. And next time, get a smaller turkey, and yes, a ready-made turkey will be a good idea for tonight. No, I don't have a dial-A turkey number. Thank you for calling, Miss Paulson, bye. Vroom ended the call. Vroom banged his fist on the table. Everything okay? I said, not looking up from my papers. Yeah. Just a psycho customer, he mumbled as another number started flashing on his screen. I worked on my computer for the next 10 minutes, compiling the call statistics of the previous day. Bakshi had also assigned me the responsibility of checking the other agent's etiquette. Every now and then, I would listen in on somebody's call. At 10:47 p.m., I connected to Esha's line. Yes, sir. I sound like your daughter. Oh, thank you. So what is wrong with the vacuum cleaner? She was saying. Your voice is so soothing, the caller said. Thank you, sir. So, the vacuum cleaner. Esha's tone was perfect, just the right mix of politeness and firmness. Management monitored us on average call handling times, or AHTs. As was got the more painful customers, our AHT benchmarks were higher at 2.5 minutes per call. I checked my files for everyone's AHT, all of us were within targets. Beep. The sound of the fax machine made me look up from my papers. I wondered who could be faxing us at this time. I went to the machine and checked the incoming fax. It was from Bakshi. The fax machine took 3 minutes to churn out the 7 pages he had sent. I tore the message sheet off the machine and held the first sheet up. From Subhash Bakshi, subject, training initiatives. Dear Shyam, just FYI, I have recommended your name to assist in accent training as they are short of teachers. I am sure you can spare some time for this. As always, I am trying to get you more relevant and strategic exposure. Yours, Subhash Bakshi, Manager, Connections. I gasped as I read the rest of the fax. Bakshi was sucking me into several hours outside my shift to teach new recruits. Apart from the extra work, I hate accent training. Anyway. The American accent is so confusing. You might think the Americans and their language are straightforward. Far from it, with them, each letter can be pronounced several different ways. I will give you just one example, T. With this letter, Americans have 4 different sounds. T can be silent, so internet becomes internet and advantage becomes advantage. The second way is when T and N merge, written becomes written and certain is certain. The third sound is when T is in the middle. There, it sounds like AD, daughter is daughter and water is water. The last category, if you still care, is when Americans say T actually like AT. This happens when T is the beginning of the word, like table or stumble. Man, it drives me nuts. And this is just one consonant. The vowels are another, more painful story. What's up? Vroom said, coming up to me. I passed the fax to Vroom. He read it and smirked. Yeah, right. He sent you an FYI. Do you know what an FYI is? Vroom said. What? Fuck you instead. It is a standard way to dump responsibility on someone else. I hate accent training, man. You can't teach Delhi people to speak like Americans in a week. Just as you can't train Americans to speak with a Punjabi accent, Vroom said and chuckled. Anyway, go train, lose your brain. What will I do? I said, beginning to walk back towards our desk. Go train, lose your brain, Vroom said and laughed. He liked the rhyme, and repeated it several times as we walked back to the bay. I was back at my seat, Vroom's words, train, echoing in my head. They were making me remember another kind of train altogether. It brought back memories of the Rail Museum, where I had a date with Priyanka a year ago. #5. My past dates with Priyanka, Rail Museum, Chennai 1 year before this night. She came 30 minutes late. I had seen the whole museum twice, examined every little train model, stepped inside India's oldest coal engine, understood the modern interactive siren system. I went to the canteen, which was on an island in the middle of an artificial pond. It was impressive landscaping for a museum. I thought of lighting a cigarette, but I caught sight of the sign, only steam engines are allowed to smoke. I was cradling a lukewarm Coke in the museum canteen when she arrived. Okay. Don't say anything. Sorry, I'm late, I know she said and sat down with a thump in front of me. I didn't say anything. I looked at her tiny nose. I wondered how it allowed in enough oxygen. What, say something, she said after 5 seconds. I thought you told me to be quiet, I said. My mother needs professional help, Priyanka said. She really does. What happened? I swirled the straw in my Coke, making little fizzy drops implode. I'll tell you. First, how do you like this place? Cute, isn't it? The Rail Museum. I said, throwing my hands in the air. How old are we? 12. Anyway, what happened with Mom? What was the fuel today? We don't need fuel, just a spark is enough. Just as I was ready to leave to come here, she made a comment on my dress. What did she say? I asked, looking at her clothes. She wore a blue tie and dye skirt, and a t-shirt that had a peace sign on it. It was typical Priyanka stuff. She wore earrings with blue beads, which matched her necklace. She had a hint half coal in her eyes, which I was crazy about. I was almost at the door and then she says, why don't you wear the gold necklace I gave you for your last birthday? Priyanka said. And then. She obviously wasn't wearing any gold necklace, as my gaze turned to the hollow of her neck, which I felt like touching. And I was like, no Mom, it won't go with my dress. Yellow metal is totally uncool, only aunties wear it. Boom, next thing we are having this big, long argument. That's what made me late. Sorry, she said. You didn't have to fight. Just wear the chain in front of her and remove it later, I said as the waiter came to take our order. But that's not the point. Anyway, she said and turned to the waiter, get me a plate of samosas, I'm starving. Actually wait, that is so fattening, do you have a salad? The waiter gave us a blank look. Where do you think you are? I said. This is the Rail Museum canteen, not an Italian bistro. You get what you see. Okay, she said, eyeing the stalls. Get me the potato chips. No, get me the popcorn. Popcorn is lighter, right? She looked at the waiter as if he was a nutritionist. Just get the popcorn, I said to the waiter. So, what else is happening? Met Vroom, she said. Was supposed to, but couldn't. He had a date. With who? New girl. Of course. He never sticks to one. I wonder what girls see in him. All hot ones too, I said. I can't understand the deal with Vroom. He is the most materialistic and unemotional person I have met in my entire life, Priyanka said as the popcorn arrived at our table. No he isn't, I said, grabbing more popcorn than I could hold. Well, look at him, jeans, phones, pizzas and bikes. That is all he lives for. And this whole new girlfriend every 3 months, come on, at some point you've got to stop that, right? Well, I'm happy to stick to the one I have, I said, my mouth overflowing with popcorn. You are so cute, Priyanka said, as she blushed and smiled. She took some more popcorn and stuffed it into my mouth. Thanks, I said as I munched the popcorn. Vroom has changed. He wasn't like this when he first joined from his previous job. The one at the newspaper. Yeah, journalist trainee. He started in current affairs. Do you know what one of his famous pieces was called? No, what? Oh crap, Priyanka said, looking at someone behind me. What happened? Nothing, just don't look back. Some relatives of mine with their painful kids are here. Oh no, she said, looking down at our table. Now when someone tells you not to look at something, you always feel an incredible urge to do just that. From the corner of my eye I saw a family with 2 kids at the corner of the room. Who else do you expect to come here but kids? I said. Anyway, they are quite far. Shut up and look down. Anyway, tell me about Vroom's piece, she said. Oh yeah. It was called Why Don't Politicians Ever Commit Suicide? What? Sounds morbid. Well, the article said all kinds of people, students, housewives, businessmen, employees and even film stars, commit suicide. But politicians never do. That tells you something. What? She said, still keeping her eyes down. Well, Vroom's point was that suicide is a horrible thing and people do it only because they are really hurt. This means they feel something. But politicians don't. So, basically, this country is run by people who don't feel anything. Well, can't imagine that going down well with his editor. You bet it didn't. However, Vroom had sneaked it in. The editor only saw it after it was printed and all hell broke loose. Vroom somehow saved his job, but his bosses moved him to page 3. Our Vroom. Page 3. They told Vroom he was good looking, so he would fit in there. In addition, he had done a photography course. He could click the pictures himself. Cover page 3 because you are good looking. Now that sounds dumb, she said. It is dumb. But Vroom took his revenge there too. He took unflattering pictures of the glitterati, faces stuffed with food, close-ups of cellulite thighs, drunk people throwing up, that sort of stuff showed up in papers the next day. Oh my god, Priyanka laughed. He sounds like an activist. I can't understand his switching to the call center for money. Well, according to him, there is activism in chasing money too. And how does that work? Well, his point is that the only reason Americans have a say in this world is because they have cash. The day we get money, we can screw them. So, the first thing we have to do is get the money. Interesting, Priyanka said and let out a sigh. Well, that is why we slog at night. I could have done my B.Ed right after college. But I wanted to save some money first. Can't open me dream nursery school without cash. So until then, it is 200 calls a night, night after night. Priyanka rested her chin on her elbows. I looked at her. I think she would make the cutest nursery school principal ever. Western Appliances, Sam speaking, how may I help you? Please let me help you. Please, I said, imitating an American accent. Priyanka laughed again. Priyanka today, a 5-year-old boy's voice startled customers from their samosas. The boy running towards Priyanka had a model train set and a glass of fountain coke precariously balanced in his hands. He ran without coordination. The excitement of seeing his Diddy was too much for him. He tripped near our table and I lunged to save him. I succeeded, but his fountain coke fell all over my shirt. Oh no, I said even as I saw another 3-year-old girl with a huge lollipop in her mouth running towards us. I moved aside from the tornado to save another collision. She landed straight on Priyanka's lap. I went to the restroom to clean my shirt. Shyam, Priyanka said when I returned, meet my cousin, Dr. Ainurag. The entire family had shifted to our table. Priyanka introduced me to everyone. I forgot their names as soon as I heard them. Priyanka told her doctor cousin I worked at a call center. I think the cousin was less interested in talking to me after that. The kids had eaten half the popcorn and spilled the rest of it. The boy was running his model train set through popcorn fields on the table and screaming a mock siren with his sister. Sit, Shyam, Priyanka said. No, actually I have an early shift today, I said and got up to leave. But wait, Priyanka said. No, I have to go, I said and ran out of the rail museum, which had turned as chaotic as a railway station. #6. Ouch! Esha's scream in the middle of her call broke my train of thought and memories. What? I said. I heard loud static. Really bad line. Hello, yes madam, Esha said. Radhika was knitting something with pink wool while she waited for a call. People were busy, but I could sense that the call volume was lower than usual tonight. EU, Priyanka said 5 seconds later. Freaking hell, Vroom said as he pulled off his headset from his ears. What's going on? I said. There's shrill static coming every few seconds now. Ask Bakshi to send someone, Vroom said, rubbing his ear. I'll go to his office. You guys cover the calls, I said and looked at the time. It was 10:51 p.m. The first break was in less than an hour. I passed by the training room on my way to Bakshi's office. I peeked inside. Fresh trainees were attending a session. Some students were snoozing. They were probably still getting used to working at night. 35 equals 10, the instructor wrote in big bold letters on the blackboard. I remembered the 35 equals 10 rule from my training days 2 years ago. It helped agents adjust to their callers. Remember, the instructor said to the class, a 35-year-old American's brain and IQ is the same as a 10-year-old Indian's brain. This will help you understand your clients. You need to be as patient as you are when dealing with a child. Americans are dumb, just accept it. I don't want anyone losing their cool during the calls. I dreaded the day when I would have to teach in such classes. My own Delhi accent was impossible to get rid of, and I must have come last in my accent class. I have to get out of this, I said to myself as I went to Bakshi's cabin. Bakshi was in his oversized office, staring at his computer with his mouth open. As I came in, he rapidly closed the windows. He was probably surfing the internet for bikini babes or something. Good evening, sir, I said. Oh, hello, Sam, please come in. Bakshi liked to call us by our Western names. I hated it. I walked into his office slowly, to give him time to close his favorite websites. Come, Sam, don't worry. I believe in being an open-door manager, Bakshi said. I looked at his big square face, unusually large for his 5'6" body. The oversized face resembled the Ravan cutout at Dussehra. His face shone as usual. It was the first thing you noticed about Bakshi, the oil fields on his face. I think if you could recreate Bakshi's skin as our landscape, you could solve India's oil problems. Priyanka told me once that when she met Bakshi for the first time, she had had an overwhelming urge to take a tissue and wipe it hard across his face. I do not think one tissue would be enough though. Bakshi was around 30 but looked 40 and spoke like he was 50. He had worked in connections for the past 3 years. Before that, he did an MBA from some unpronounceable university in South India. He thought he was Michael Porter or something. Porter is this big management guru, I didn't know either, but Bakshi told me in an FYI once, and loved to talk in manager's language or managese, which is another language like English and American. So, how are the resources doing? Bakshi said, swiveling on his chair. He never refers to us as people, we are all resources. Fine, sir. I actually wanted to talk about a problem. The phone lines are not working properly, lots of static coming in the calls. Can you ask systems, Sam, Bakshi said, pointing a pen at me. Yes. What did I tell you? About what? About how to approach problems. What? Think. I thought hard, but nothing came to mind. I don't remember, sir. Solve them. No, I said big picture. Always start at the big picture. I was puzzled. What was the big picture here? There was static coming through on the phones and we had to ask systems to fix it. I could have called them myself, but Bakshi's intervention would get a fast response. Sir, it is a specific issue. Customers are hearing disturbance, Sam, Bakshi sighed and signaled me to sit down. What makes a good manager? What? I sat down in front of him and surreptitiously looked at my watch. It was 10:57 p.m. I hoped the call flow was moderate so the others wouldn't have a tough time with one less person on the desk. Wait, Bakshi said and took out a writing pad and pen. He placed the pad on the middle of the table and then drew a graph that looked like this. He finished the graph and turned the notebook 180 degrees to make it face me. He clicked his pen shut with a swagger, as proud as Da Vinci finishing the Mona Lisa. Sir, systems. I said, after staying silent for a few seconds. Wait. First you tell me. What is this? Bakshi said and tapped his index finger on the diagram. I tried to make sense of the chart and any possible connection to the static on the phone lines. I couldn't get it. I shook my head in defeat. TCH, see, let me tell you, Bakshi said. This chart is your career. If you want to be more senior, you have to move up this curve. He put a fat finger on the curve and traced it, guiding me on how I should look at my life. Yes, sir, I said, having nothing better to say. And do you know how to do that? I shook my head. Vroom probably thought I was out smoking. I did feel some smoke coming out of my ears. Big picture. I just told you, focus on the big picture. Learn to identify the strategic variables, Sam. Before I could speak, he had pulled out his pen again and was drawing another diagram. Maybe I can explain this to you with the help of a 2x2 matrix, Bakshi said and bent down to write high and low along the boxes. I had to stop him. Sir, please, I said, placing both my hands down to cover the sheet. What? He said with irritation, as if Einstein had been disturbed at work. Sir, this is really interesting to me. I must come back and learn this. But right now my team is waiting and my shift is in progress. So? Bakshi said. The phones, sir. Please tell systems they should check the WASC bay urgently, I said, without pausing to breathe. Ha! Bakshi said, surprised at how fast I was speaking. Just call systems, sir, I said and stood up, using that. I pointed at his telephone and rushed back to my bay. #7. Nice break, eh? Vroom said when I returned to our bay. Come on, man, just went to Bakshi's office about the static, I said. Is he sending someone? Vroom asked as he untangled his phone wires. He said I should identify the strategic variables first, I said and sat down on my seat. I rested my face on my hands. Strategic variables. What's that? Vroom said, without looking at me. How the hell do I know? I snorted. If I did, I would be team leader. He also made some diagrams. Radhika, Esha and Priyanka were busy on calls. Every few seconds, they would turn the phone away from their ears to avoid the loud static. I wished the systems guy would come by soon. What diagram? Vroom said, as he took out some chewing gum from his drawer. He offered one to me. Some crap 2x2 matrix or something, I said, declining Vroom's offer. Poor Bakshi, he is just a little silly but a harmless creature. Don't worry about him, Vroom said. Where the hell is the systems guy? I picked up the telephone and spoke to the systems department. They had not yet received a call from Bakshi. Can you please come fast? Yes, we have an emergency. Yes, our manager knows about it. I can't believe Bakshi hasn't called them yet, I said, after I had got the systems guys to promise they'd send someone right away. Things are bad around here, my friend Vroom said. Bad news may be coming. What do you mean? Are they cutting jobs? I asked, now a little worried and anxious, along with being frustrated. It's amazing how all these nasty emotions decide to visit me together. I'm trying to find out, Vroom said, clicking open a window on his screen. The Western Computers account is really suffering. If we lose that account, the call center will sink. Crap. I heard something about it from Shfali. I think the website we made was too useful. People have stopped calling us, I said. A visitor in our bay interrupted our conversation. I knew he was the systems guy, as he had 3 pagers on his belt and 2 memory cards around his neck. Priyanka told him about the problem and made him listen to the static. The systems guy asked us to disconnect our lines for 10 minutes. Everyone removed their headsets. I saw Esha adjusting her hair. She does it at least 10 times a night. First she will remove the rubber band that's tying up her hair and her hair will all come loose. Then, she assembles it all together and ties it back again. Her hair was light-colored and intensely curly towards the ends, the result of an expensive hairstyling job, which cost as much as a minor surgery. It didn't even look that nice if you ask me. Naturally curly hair is one thing, but processed curly hair looks like tangled telephone wires. I saw Vroom stare at Esha. It is never easy for guys to work with a hot girl in office. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Ignore their sexiness and stare at your computer? Sorry, somehow I don't think men were designed to do that. Radhika took her pink wool out from her bag and started to knit frantically. Military Uncle's system was still working and he stayed glued to his monitor. What are you knitting? Esha turned to Radhika. A scarf for my mother-in-law. Damn sweet she is, feels cold at night, Radhika said. She is not sweet, Vroom began to say, but Radhika interrupted him. Vroom. She is fine, just traditional. And that sucks, right? Vroom said. Not at all. In fact, I like the cozy family feeling. They are only a little bit old-fashioned, Radhika said and smiled. I did not think the smile was genuine, but it was none of my business. Yeah, right. Only a little. As in always cover your head with your sari types, Vroom said. They make you cover your head? Esha asked, speaking through teeth clenched around her rubber band. They don't make me do anything, Esha. I am willing to follow their culture. All married women in their house do it, Radhika said. Still, it is a bit weird, Esha said doubtfully. Anyway, I took it as a challenge. I love Anuj and he said he came as a package. But yeah, sometimes I miss wearing low-waist jeans like you wore the day before. I was amazed Radhika remembered what Esha wore the day before. Only women have this special area in the brain that keeps track of everything they and their friends wore the last 50 times. You like those jeans? Esha said, her eyes lighting up. I love them. But I guess you need the right figure for them, Radhika said. Anyway, sorry to change the topic guys, but we're forgetting something here. What? The systems? I asked, as I looked under the table. The systems guy lurked within, in a jungle of tangled wires. He told me he would need 10 more minutes. I checked my watch. It was 11:20 p.m. I wondered if Bakshi would be coming for his daily rounds soon. Not the static, Radhika said as she kept her knitting aside. Miss Priyanka has some big news for us, remember? Oh yes. Come on Priyanka, tell us, Esha screamed. Military uncle looked up from his screen for a second, and then went back to work. I wondered if he'd been this quiet when he lived with his son and daughter-in-law. Okay, I do have something to tell you, Priyanka said with a sheepish grin, making her two dimples more prominent. She brought out a box of sweets from her large plastic bag. Whatever your news is, we do get to eat the sweets, right? Vroom wanted to. No. Of course, Priyanka said, carefully opening the red cellophane wrapping on the box. I hate it when she is so methodical. Just rip the damn wrapping off, I thought. Anyway, it was not my business. I looked under the table for a few seconds, as if to help the systems guy. Of course, my ears were focused on Priyanka's every word. So, what's up? Milk cake, my favorite, Radhika said, even as Vroom jumped to grab the first piece. I'll tell you, but you guys have to swear it won't leave was, Priyanka said. She offered the box to Radhika and Esha. Radhika took 2 pieces, while Esha broke the tiniest piece possible with human fingers. I guess the low-cut jeans figure comes at a price. Of course we won't tell anyone. I hardly have any friends outside the WASC. Now tell please, Esha said and wiped her long fingers with a tissue. Well, let's just say, my mom is the happiest person on earth today, Priyanka said. No riddles, man. Just tell the story, Vroom said. Well, you know my mom and her obsession for an NRI match for her rebellious daughter. Radhika nodded as she ate her milk cake. So these family friends of ours brought a proposal for me. It came from one of their relatives in Seattle. I would have said no like always. However, this time, I saw the pictures, which were cute. I spoke to the guy on the phone, he sounded decent. He works in Microsoft, so is doing well. His parents are in Delhi and I met them today. Nice people, Priyanka said and paused to break a piece for herself. She could have broken a smaller piece, I thought, but it was not really my business. And Esha said, her eyes opened wide and staring at Priyanka. I don't know, just something clicked or what, Priyanka said, playing with her milk cake rather than eating it. They asked for my decision up front and I said, yes. Wow. Oh wow, the girls screamed at their highest pitch possible. The systems guy shook in terror under the table. I told him everything was fine and asked him to continue. At least everything was fine outside. Inside, I had a burning feeling, like someone had tossed a hot coal in my stomach. Radhika and Esha got up to hug Priyanka as if India had won the World Cup or something. People get married every day. Did these girls really have to create a scene? I wished the phones would start working again so I did not have to listen to this nonsense. I looked at my computer screen and saw that Microsoft Word was open. Angrily I closed all windows with the Microsoft logo on it. Congratulations, Priyanka, Vroom said, that's big news. Even military uncle got up and came to shake hands with Priyanka. Grown-ups like it when young people decide to get married. Of course, he was back at his desk in 20 seconds. This deserves more than milk cake. Where is our treat? Esha asked. Girls like Esha hardly eat anything, but still jump around asking for treats. Treat will come, guys, Priyanka said, her smile taking permanent residence on her face. I have only said yes. No ceremonies have happened yet. You've met the guy? Vroom asked. No, he's in Seattle. But we spoke for hours on the phone. And I have seen his picture. He is cute. Want to see the photo? Priyanka said. No thanks, I blurted out in reflex. Damn, I could not believe I'd said that. By sheer luck, I had not said it loud enough for Priyanka to hear. Ha! You said something? Priyanka asked, looking at me. I shook my head and pointed under the table. Yes, my only focus was to fix the phones. Do you want some milk cake? Priyanka asked and shunted the box towards me. No, thanks, I said and slid the box back. I thought milk cake was your favorite. Not anymore. My tastes have changed, I said. And I'm trying to cut down. Not even a small piece, she asked and tilted her head. At some stage of my life, I used to find that head tilt cute, but today I remained adamant. I shook my head. Our eyes locked. When you have shared a relationship with someone, the first change is in how you look into each other's eyes. The gaze becomes more fixed, and it is hard to pull away from it. Aren't you going to say anything? Priyanka said. When girls say that, it's not really a question. It means they want you to say something. About what? The phone lines. They'll be fixed in 10 minutes, I said. Not that. I'm getting married, Shyam. Oh really, I said, as if this were the first time I had heard the news. I just said yes to a proposal today, she said. Good, I said and turned to my screen. Show us the picture. Esha screamed, as if Priyanka was going to show her Brad Pitt naked or something. Priyanka took out a photograph from her handbag and passed it around. I saw it from a distance. He looked like a regular software geek, similar to the guy under our table, but with better clothes. He stood straight with his stomach pulled in, an old trick any guy with a paunch applies when he gets his picture clicked. He wore glasses, and had a super neat hairstyle as if his mom clutched his cheeks and combed his hair every morning. Actually, she just might have for this arranged marriage picture. He was standing with the Statue of Liberty in the background, perhaps to emphasize that he was an NRI match and thus better than others. His forced smile made him look like a total loser if you ask me, like the kind of guy who never spoke to a girl in college. However, now he was hot, and girls with dimples were ready to marry him without even meeting him. He's so cute. Like a little teddy bear, Esha said and passed the picture to Radhika. When girls call a guy teddy bear, they just mean he is a nice guy, but they will never be attracted to him. Girls may say they like such guys, but teddy bears never get to sleep with anyone. Unless of course their moms hunt the neighborhood for them. Are you okay? Priyanka said to me. The others were busy analyzing the picture. Yeah. Why? No. Just expected a little more reaction. We've known each other for 4 years, more than anybody else on the desk. Radhika, Esha and Vroom turned their heads away from the picture to look at us. Reaction? I said, I thought I said good. That's all. Priyanka said. Her smile had left the building. What? I said. I'm busy trying to get the system fixed. Everyone continued to stare at me. Okay, I said, okay, Priyanka. This is great news. I am so happy for you. Okay. You could have used a better tone, Priyanka said. Anyway, I'll just come back, she mumbled, and walked away quickly towards the ladies' room. What? Why is everyone staring at me? I said, and everyone turned away. The systems guy finally came out from under the table. Fixed. I said. I need signal testing equipment, he said, wiping sweat off his forehead. The problem could be outside. Builders are digging all over Gurgaon right now. Some stupid contractor may have dug over our lines. Just take a break while I come back. Call your manager here as well, he said, and left. I picked up the telephone to call Bakshi. The line was busy. I left a voicemail for him to come to the desk. Priyanka returned from the restroom. I noticed she had washed her face. Her nose still had a drop of water on top of it. Sounds like an easy night. I hope it never gets fixed, Radhika said, knitting ferociously. Nothing better than a call center job if the phones are not working, Priyanka said and closed the box of sweets. So tell us more, what is he like? Esha said. Who? Ganesh. Priyanka asked. His name is Ganesh. Nice, Esha said and switched on her mobile phone. Everyone else followed suit and several opening tones filled the room. Normally agents could not use cell phones in the Bay, but it was okay to do so now as the system was down. I had 2 text messages from Shfali, one wishing me good night, and another one wishing me sweet dreams and a cuddly night. I cringed. Does Ganesh like to talk? Sometimes the software types are real quiet, Radhika said. Oh yes, he talks a lot. In fact, I might get a call from him now because my phone is on, Priyanka said and smiled. We're still getting to know each other, so any communication is good. You sound so happy, Esha said. Her so lasted 4 seconds. I am happy. I can see what Radhika says now about getting a new family. Ganesh's mom came home today and gave me a big gold chain. And she was all hugging me and kissing me. Sounds gross, Vroom said. Shut up, Vroom, Esha said. Oh Priyanka, you're so lucky. Vroom sensed that I was not exactly jumping with joy at the conversation. Cigarette, he said. I looked at my watch. It was 11:30, our usual time for taking a smoke. In any case, I preferred burning my lungs to sticking around to find out Ganesh's hobbies. #8. Vroom and I went to the call center parking lot. Vroom leaned against his bike and lit 2 cigarettes with 1 matchstick. I looked at his tall and thin frame. If he weren't so skinny, you'd say he was a stud. Still, a cigarette looked out of place on his boyish face. Perhaps conscious of the people who had called him babyface before, he always kept a 1-day-old stubble. He passed an already burning cigarette to me. I took a puff and let it out in the cold night air. We kept quiet for a minute and I was thankful to Vroom for that. One thing guys do know is when to shut up. Vroom finally spoke, starting with a neutral topic. I need a break, man. Good thing I'm going to Manali next weekend. Cool, Manali is really nice, I said. I'm going with my school buddies. We might ride up there on bikes. Bikes? Are you nuts? You'll freeze to death. 2 words, leather jackets. Anyway, when did you go there? Last year. We took a bus though, I said. Who all went? Vroom said as he looked for a place to flick ash. He found none. He stepped to a corner of the parking lot and plucked 2 large leaves from a tree. We tapped our cigarettes on the improvised ashtray. Priyanka and I said, and turned silent. Vroom did not respond either for 10 seconds. Fun, he finally said. Yeah, it was great. Apart from the aches from the bus ride, I said. Why, what happened? We took a bus at 4 in the morning from ISBT. Priyanka was in her anti-snob phase, so she insisted we take the ordinary slow bus and not the deluxe fast one. She also wanted to enjoy the scenery slowly. And then? Then what? The moment the bus reached the highway, she leaned on my shoulder and slept off. My shoulder cramped and my body turned sore. But apart from that horrible journey, it was great fun. She's a silly girl, Vroom said, letting out a big puff, his face smiling behind the smoke ring. She is. You should have seen her then. She used to wear all these beads and Fab India stuff all the time. And then she'd sit with the truck drivers and have tea. Well. Can't imagine Priyanka like that now, Vroom said. Trust me, the girl has a wild side, I said and paused, as her face came to mind. Anyway, it's history now. Girls change. You bet. She's all set now. I nodded. I didn't want to talk about Priyanka anymore. At least one part of me didn't. The rest of my parts always wanted to talk about her. NI catch, Microsoft and all. Not bad, Vroom continued as he lit another cigarette. I narrowed my eyes at him. What, he said. It's in my daily quota. It is only my 3rd of 5. He exhaled a giant cloud. It's a little too quick, isn't it? I said. What? The cigarette. I need it today. Not that. Priyanka's wedding. Don't you think she is deciding too fast? Fast. Come on, man, you don't get matches like this every day. He is in freaking Microsoft. As good as they get. He is MS Groom 1.1, Deluxe Edition. What is the deal with Microsoft? Good job. Dude, I'm sure he packs close to $100 grand a year. What is that? $100,000 a year. Vroom nodded. I tried to convert $100,000 to rupees and divide it by 12 to get the monthly salary. There were too many zeros and it was a tough calculation to do in my head. I racked my brain for a few seconds. Stop calculating in rupees, Vroom said and smiled. I'm not doing any calculations. Priyanka's got a catch, I'm telling you, Vroom repeated. He paused and looked at me. His eyes were wet like a puppy's, brown and kind to look at. I could see why girls flocked to him. It was the eyes. I'm going to ask you a question. Will you answer it honestly? Vroom said. Sure. Are you upset she is getting married? I know you have feelings for her. No, I said and started laughing. I just find it a bit strange. But I wouldn't say I'm upset. That is too strong a word. It is not like we're going around now or anything. No. Sir, I am not upset. Vroom waited while I continued to laugh exaggeratedly. When I'd stopped, he said, okay, don't bullshit me. What happened to your reproposal plans? I remained silent. It's okay, man. You can tell me. I sighed. Well, of course I feel for her. But they are just vestigial feelings. Vesti what? Like vestigial organs. They serve no purpose or value. But they can give you a pain in the appendix. Same with my feelings for Priyanka. I'm supposed to have moved on, but obviously it hasn't happened. Meanwhile, Mr. N.I. comes and gives me a kick in the rear end. I said. Talk to her. Don't tell me you're not going to room set and exhaled too. Smoke rings. I was planning to reel soon. I thought we'd submit the website user manual and hopefully that would have made it easier for Boston to approve my promotion. How did I know there would be milk cake distribution tonight? How was it, by the way? I didn't touch it. Milk cake was great. Never sulk when food is at stake, dude. Anyway, screw that. Listen, you still have some time. She has only said yes. I hope so. Though even as team leader, it's hard to compete with Mr. Microsoft, I said. We remained silent for a few more seconds. Vroom spoke again. Yeah man. Girls are strategic. They'll talk about love and romance and all that crap, but when it comes to doing the deal, they will choose the fattest chicken, he said, and bunched up the leaf ashtray so it became like a bowl. I guess I can only become fat, not a fat chicken, I said. Yeah, you need to be fat, fresh and fluffy. Girls know their stuff. That's why you shouldn't feel so upset. We aren't good husband material, just accept it. Thanks Vroom, that really makes my day, I said. I did agree with Vroom though. It was evolution. Maybe nature wanted dimple-cheeked, software geek, mini-Ganesh babies. They were of far more value to society than depressed, good-for-nothing junior Shyams. And anyway, it's the girl who always gets to choose. Men propose and women accept the proposal or, as in many cases, reject it. It's true. Girls go around rejecting men like it is their birthright. They have no idea how much it hurts us. I read once, or maybe saw it during one of my Discovery Channel phases, that the reason for this is that the female of the species has to bear their offspring with a lot of effort. Hence they choose their mates carefully. Meanwhile, men dance around, spend cash, make them laugh, write stupid poems, anything to win them over. The only species where courting works in reverse is the seahorse. Instead of the females, the male seahorse bears the offspring. They carry baby seahorse eggs in their pockets. Guess what? The female seahorses are always hitting on the males, while the latter pucker their noses and get to pick the cutest female. I wished I were a seahorse. How hard can it be to carry a couple of eggs in a backpack? Vroom interrupted my thoughts. But who knows? Priyanka isn't like other girls, or maybe she is after all. Either way, don't give up man. Try to get her back, Vroom said and patted my shoulder in encouragement. Speaking of back, shouldn't we be heading back to the bay? I said and looked at my watch. It's 11:45 p.m. We passed the Western Computers main bay as we returned from the parking lot. The main bay sounded like a noisy school, except the kids weren't talking to each other, but to customers. Monitor problems, viruses, strange error messages, there was nothing connections could not help you with. Still looks busy, I said. Not at all. People have told me call traffic is down 40%. I think they'll cut a lot of staff, or worst case scenario, cut all people and shift the client to the Bangalore center. Bangalore? What will happen here? I said. They'll close this poorly managed madhouse down. What else? That is what happens when people like Bakshi spend half their time playing politics with other managers, Vroom said. He spotted a good-looking girl in the Western Computers bay and pointed her out to me. Closed down, I said, after studying the pretty girl for half a second. Are you serious? What will happen to the hundreds of jobs here? Like they care. You think Bakshi cares? Vroom said and shrugged his lanky shoulders. Crap happens in life. It could happen tonight, Vroom said as we reached the WASC. #9. The systems guy was under the table again. No calls yet. They've called for a senior engineer, Priyanka said. It's an external fault. Some cables are damaged, I think. Gurgon is going nuts with constructions, the systems guy said, as he emerged from under the table. Bakshi knows. I said. I don't know, Priyanka said. Vroom and I sat down at our desk. It's not too bad. Nice break, Esha said as she filed her nails with a weirdly shaped nail cutter. Priyanka's cell phone began to ring, startling everyone. Who is calling you so late? Radhika said, still knitting her scarf. Long distance, I think, Priyanka said and smiled. Ooh. Esha squealed, like a 2-year-old on a bouncy castle. What is the big deal about a long-distance phone call? I thought. Hi Ganesh. I just switched my phone on, Priyanka said. I can't believe you called so soon. I could not hear Ganesh's response. Thank God. 15 times. I can't believe you tried my number 15 times, so sorry. Priyanka said, looking idiotic with happiness. Yes, I'm at work. But it's really chaotic today. Systems are down. Hello. How come you're working on Thanksgiving? Oh, nice of the Indians to offer to work. Hello. Priyanka said. What happened? Esha said. There's hardly any network, Priyanka said, shaking her phone as if that would improve the reception. I felt like shaking her. We're in the basement. Nothing comes into this black hole, Vroom said. He was surfing the internet, and was on the Formula I website. Landline, Esha said, pointing to the spare phone on our desk. Every team in Connections had a spare independent landline at their desk for emergency use. Tell him to call on the landline. Here. Priyanka asked, looking to me for permission. Normally this would be unthinkable, but our systems were down, so it did not really matter. Also, I did not want to look like a sore loser preventing a new couple from starting their romance. I nodded and pretended to be absorbed by my computer screen. As the ad hoc team leader, I had some powers. I could approve any personal calls. I could also listen in on any line on the desk on my headset. However, I could not listen in on the independent emergency phone. Not unless I went under the table and tapped it. Tap the landline, a faint voice echoed in my head. No, it's wrong, I said and mentally reprimanded myself. I could still hear one side of the conversation though. Hello, Ganesh, call the landline, yes, 22463463 and 11 for Delhi. Call after 10 minutes, our boss might come on his rounds soon. I know 10 minutes is 600 seconds, I'm sure you'll survive. She laughed uncontrollably and hung up. When women laugh non-stop, they're flirting. I hate Priyanka. He sounds so cute, Esha said, stretching the last word to 5 times its normal length. Enough is enough, I'm going to call Bakshi. We need to fix the systems, I said. And stood up. I couldn't bear the systems guy lurking under the table anymore. More than that, I could not bear 600 seconds without you survival stories. I was walking towards Bakshi's office when I noticed him walking towards me. Agent Sam, why aren't you on your desk? Bakshi said. I was looking for you, sir, I said. I'm all yours, Bakshi said as his face broke into a smile. He came and placed his arm around my shoulder. I hate it when he does that. Bakshi and I returned to WASC. Everyone heard the sound of Bakshi's heavy steps. Radhika hid her knitting gear under the table. Esha put her nail file in her bag. Vroom opened his screen to an empty MS Word document. The systems guy came out from under the table and called his boss, the head of the IT department. Looks like we have technology issues here, Bakshi said, and the systems guy nodded his head. The head of IT came soon after. He and the systems guy discussed geek stuff between themselves in so-called English. When the discussions were over, the IT head ranted out incomprehensible technical details to us. I only understood that the system was under a strain, 80% of the WASC capacity was damaged, and the remaining 20% could not handle the current load. Bakshi said, his left hand rubbing his chin. That's really bad, isn't it? So, what do you want us to do? The IT head asked. All eyes turned to Bakshi. It was a situation Bakshi hated, to be asked to take a decision or recommend action. Bakshi said and flexed his knees, knee by slow knee, to buy time. We really need a methodical game plan here. We can shut down the WASC system tonight. Western Computer's main bay is running fine anyway, the junior IT guy suggested. But WASC has not lost all its capacity. Boston won't like it if we shut the bay. The IT head said, referring to the Western Computers and Appliances headquarters in Boston. Bakshi said again and pressed a sweaty palm on my desk. Upsetting Boston will not be good at this time. We are already on a slippery slope at Connections. Let's try to be proactively oriented here. Vroom couldn't resist a snigger at Bakshi's jargon. He looked away and clenched his teeth. Sir, can I make a suggestion, I said, even though I should have kept my trap shut. What? Bakshi said. We could take Bangalore's help, I said, referring to the location of the second Western Appliances and Computers call center in India. Bangalore. Bakshi and the IT head said in unison. Yes, sir. It is Thanksgiving and call volumes are low. So Bangalore will be running light as well. If we pass most of our calls there, it will get busier for them, but it won't overload them. Meanwhile, we can handle a limited flow here, I said. That makes sense. We can easily switch the flow for a few hours. We can fix the systems here in the morning, the junior IT guy said. That's fine, I said. And people will start their Thanksgiving dinner in the States soon, so call volumes will fall even more. Everyone on the desk looked at me and nodded. Secretly they were thrilled at the easy shift tonight. Bakshi, however, had fallen into silent contemplation. Sir, you heard what Shyam said. Let's ask Bangalore. That is our only option, Priyanka said. Bakshi remained silent and pondered for a few more seconds. I want to know what he actually thinks in these moments. See, the thing is, Bakshi said and paused again, aren't we comparing apples to oranges here? What? Vroom looked at Bakshi with a disgusted expression. I wondered what Bakshi was talking about. Was I the apple? Was Delhi the orange? What fruit was Bangalore? I have an idea. Why don't we use Bangalore? Bakshi said and snapped his fingers. But that is what Shyam, the junior IT guy, began, but Bakshi interrupted him. Poor junior IT guy, he isn't familiar with Bakshi's ways. See, it sounds unusual, but sometimes you have to do out of the box thinking, Bakshi said and tapped his head in self-admiration. Yes sir, I said. That is a good idea. We have it all sorted now. Good, the IT guy said and started playing with the computer menus. Bakshi had a smug smile on his face. Before the IT guys left, they told us that the WAS call volume would be super light, maybe even less than 20 calls an hour. We were overjoyed, but kept a straight face before Bakshi. See, problem solved, Bakshi said and spread his hands. That is what I'm here for. Lucky us, sir, Priyanka said. We thought Bakshi would leave, but he had other plans. Shyam, as you are free tonight, can you help me with some strategic documents? You know, it will give you some exposure. What is it, sir? I said, not happy about sacrificing my night. These are 10 copies of the monthly data sheets I just printed out, Bakshi said and held up some documents in his right hand. For some reason the sheets didn't come in order. It is 10 page ones, then page twos and so on. Can you help fix this? You didn't collate them. You can choose the option when you print, Vroom said. You can choose to collate. Bakshi asked, as if we'd told him about an option for brain transplants. Yes, Vroom said and took some chewing gum from his drawer. He popped a piece into his mouth. Anyway, it is easier to take one printout and photocopy the rest. Comes out stapled too. I need to upgrade my technical skills. Technology changes so fast, Bakshi said. But Shyam, can you help arrange and staple them this time? Sure, I said. As if I had a choice. Bakshi dumped the sheets on my table and left the room. Priyanka looked at me with her mouth open. What? I said. I can't believe it, she shook her head. Why do you let him do this to you? Come on, Priyanka, leave Shyam alone. Bakshi runs his life, Vroom said. Exactly. Because he lets him. Why can't people stand up for themselves? I don't know why I can't stand up for myself, but I definitely can't stand Priyanka's rhetorical questions. She doesn't understand the point, and then asks the world out aloud. I tried to ignore her. However, her words had affected me. It was difficult to focus on the sheets. I stacked the first set and was about to staple them when Vroom said, he can't take on Bakshi right now. Not at this time, Priyanka, they are in the mood to fire people. Yes, thanks, Vroom. Can someone explain reality? I need to make a living. I don't have Mr. Microsoft PowerPoint waiting for me in Seattle, I said and pressed the stapler. Hard. I missed and the staple pin pierced my finger. Ow. I screamed loud enough to uproot military uncle from his desk. What happened? Priyanka said and stood up. I lifted my finger to show the streaks of blood. A couple of drops spilled onto Bakshi's document. The girls squealed EUs in rapid succession. Symbolism, dude. Giving your lifeblood to this job, Vroom said. Can someone give this guy a band-aid before he makes me throw up? I have a band-aid, Esha said as the girls came up and surrounded me. Women love to repair an injury, as long as it is not too gross. That's bad, Esha said, taking out a band-aid from her bag. She had like 50 of them. It's nothing. Just a minor cut, I said. I clenched my teeth hard as it hurt like hell. Priyanka took out a few tissues from her bag. She held my finger and cleaned the blood around it. Ouch. I screamed. Oh, the staple is still in there, she said. We need forceps. Forceps, anyone? Esha had forceps in her handbag, which I think she uses to rip her eyebrows out. Girls' handbags have enough to make a survival kit for Antarctica. Priyanka held the forceps and went to work on my finger with a surgeon's concentration. Here's the culprit, she said as she pulled out a staple pin drenched in blood. I swear, ever since I've developed a fear of staples, staplophobia, you can call it. Priyanka wiped my finger and then stuck the band-aid on it. With no more fun, bloody sights to see, everyone returned to their seats. I went back to collating sheets. Perhaps my abilities really did lie in mindless labor. Esha and Radhika began talking about Bakshi. He had no idea what IT was saying, Radhika said. Yeah, but did you see his face? Esha said. He looked like he was doing a CBI investigation. I looked at Priyanka. The word CBI brought back memories. Even as I collated Bakshi's sheets, my mind drifted to Pandra Road. #10. My past dates with Priyanka, too. Havemore Restaurant, Pandra Road 9 months before this night. Shyam, Priyanka said as she tried to push me away. This is not the place to do these things. This is Pandra Road. Oh really, I said, refusing to move away. We were sitting on a corner table. A carved wooden screen partially hid us. What's wrong with Pandra Road? I said, continuing to kiss her. This is a family place, she said. She spread a palm on my face and pushed me back again, firmly this time. So, families get made by doing these things. Very funny. Anyway, you chose this place. I hope the food is as good as you said it was. It's the best in Delhi, I said. We had come to Havemore Restaurant, one of the half-dozen overpriced but excellent restaurants on Pandra Road. We had done enough museums. After the Rail Museum, we had gone to the planetarium. The dark empty theatre with its romantic possibilities was fun, I admit. The Natural History Museum, the Doll Museum and the Science Museum. According to Priyanka, museums offered good privacy, great gardens and cheap canteens. $130 for dal. Priyanka exclaimed as she opened the menu. Her coal-lined eyes turned white and her nostrils flared again. Her face had the expression of a stunned cartoon character. It was embarrassing, especially as the waiter was already at our table to take the order. Just order, okay? I said in a hushed voice. Priyanka took 5 more minutes to place the order. Here is how she decides. Step 1, sort all the dishes on the menu according to price. Step 2, resort the cheaper ones based on calories. 1 naan, no butter. Yellow dal, she said as I glared at her. Okay, not yellow, black dal, she said. And 1 Shahi Paneer, I said. You always order the same thing, black dal and Shahi Paneer, she made a face. Yes, same girl, same food. Why bother experimenting when you already have the best, I said. You are so cute, she said. Her smile made her eyes crinkle. She pinched my cheeks and fed me a little vinegar onion from the table. Hardly romantic, but I liked it. She moved her hand away quickly when she saw a family being led to the table adjacent to us. The family consisted of a young married couple, their 2 little daughters and an old lady. The daughters were twins, probably 4 years old. The entire family had morose faces and no one said a word to each other. I wondered why they had come out when they could be grumpy for free at home. Anyway, Priyanka said, what's the news? Not much, Vroom and I are busy with the troubleshooting website. Cool, how's it coming along? Really well. Nothing fancy though, the best websites are simple. Vroom even checked out many sites meant for mentally handicapped people. He said if we can model it on such websites, Americans will surely be able to use it. They're not that young, Priyanka laughed. Americans invented computers, remember? The waiter came with our food. Yeah, America has like 10 smart guys. The rest call us at night, I said, as I tore a piece of my naan and dipped it in the dal. I agree, the people who call us are pretty thick. I'm like, figure out where the power button is, hello, she said. She put micro portions of food on her plate. Eat properly, I said. Stop dieting all the time like Esha. I am not that hungry, she said, even as I forcefully gave her human portions of food. Hey, did I tell you about Esha? Don't tell anyone, she said, her voice dipping, eyebrows dancing. I shook my head. You love to gossip. Don't you? Your name should be Miss Gossip FM 99.5, I said. I never gossip, she said, waving a fork at me solemnly. Oh my god, the food is so good here. My chest inflated with pride as if I had spent all night cooking the dishes myself. Of course you love to gossip. Whenever someone starts with don't tell anyone, that to me is a juicy tidbit of gossip coming, I said. Priyanka blushed and the tip of her nose turned tomato red. She looked cute as hell. I would have kissed her right then, but the grumpy family next to us was beginning to argue in murmurs. I did not want to spoil the summer ambience for them. Okay, so maybe I gossip, but only a little bit, Priyanka relented. But I read somewhere, gossip is good for you. Oh really? I teased. Yes, it's a sign you're interested in people and care for them. That is so lame, I burst out laughing, pointing my spoon at her. Anyway, what about Esha? I know Vroom has the hots for her. But does she like him? No, Shyam, that is old news. She has rejected Vroom's proposal before. The latest is that she had signed up for the Femina Miss India contest. Last week she got a rejection letter because she was not tall enough. She is 5'5", the minimum is 5'6". Radhika saw her cry in the toilet. Oh wow. Miss India. Come on, she is not that pretty. She should really stop this modeling trip of hers. God, she is so thin though. Okay, I'm not eating anymore. She pushed her plate away. Stupid, eat. You want to be happy or thin? I said, pushing her plate back towards her. Thin. Shut up, eat properly. The name of the restaurant should tell you something. And as for Esha, well, too bad Miss India didn't work out. However, trying doesn't hurt, I said. Well, she was crying. So it hurt her. After all, she's come to Delhi against her parents' wishes. It's not easy struggling alone, she said. I nodded. We finished our meal and the waiter reappeared like a genie to clear our plates. Dessert. I said. No way. I'm too full, Priyanka said, placing her hand on her neck to show just how full. She is way too dramatic sometimes, just like her mom. Not that I dare tell her that. Okay, one kulfi please, I said to the waiter. No, order gulab jamun, no, she said. Ha. I thought you didn't want, okay, one gulab jamun please. The waiter went back into his magic bottle. How's your mom? I said. Same. We haven't had a cry fest since last week's showdown, so that alone is a reason to celebrate. Maybe I will have half a gulab jamun. And what happened last week? Last week? Oh yes, my uncles were over for dinner. So picture this, dinner ends and we are all having butterscotch ice cream at the dining table. One uncle mentioned that my cousin was getting married to a doctor, a cardiac surgeon or something, Priyanka said. The waiter came and gave us the gulab jamuns. I took a bite. Ouch, careful, these are hot, I said, blowing air out. Anyway, what happened then? So I'm eating my ice cream and my mother screams, Priyanka. Make sure you marry someone well settled. The latter phrase was said in falsetto. I'm going to be a team leader soon, I said and fed her a slice of gulab jamun. Relax, Shyam, Priyanka said, as she took a bite and patted my arm. It has nothing to do with you. The point is, how could she spring it on me in front of everyone? Like, why can't I just have ice cream like the others? Why does my serving have to come with this hot guilt sauce? My younger brother, nobody says anything to him while he stuffs his face. I laughed and signaled for the bill. So what did you do then? I said. Nothing. I slammed my spoon down on the plate and left the room. Major drama, you are no less, I said. Guess what she says then, to everyone, this is what I get for bringing her up and loving her so much. She doesn't care. I nearly died in labor when she was born, but she doesn't care. I laughed uncontrollably as Priyanka did an outstanding imitation of her mother. The bill arrived and my eyebrows shot up. For a second as I paid the $463. We stood up to leave and the grumpy family's voices reached us. What to do? Since the day this woman came to our house, our family's fortunes have been ruined, the old woman was saying. The Agra girls' side were offering to set up a full clinic. I don't know where our brains were then. The daughter-in-law had tears in her eyes. She had not touched her food. The man was eating nonchalantly. Look at her now, sitting there with a stiff face. Go to hell now. Not only did you not bring anything, now you have dumped these two girls like two curses on me, the mother-in-law said. I looked at the little girls. They had identical plaits with cute pink ribbons in them. The girls were holding one hand of their mother each. They looked scared. Priyanka was staring at them. I noticed they had ordered kulfi and wondered if I should have done the same and at least saved my now scalded tongue. Say something now, you silent statue, the mother-in-law said. And shook the daughter-in-law's shoulders. Why doesn't she say anything? Priyanka whispered to me. Because she can't, I said. When you have a bad boss, you can't say anything. Who will pay for these two curses? Say something now, the mother-in-law said. The daughter-in-law's tears came down faster. I'll say something, Priyanka shouted, facing the mother-in-law. The grumpy family turned to look at us in astonishment. I looked for a deep hole to hide myself from the embarrassment. Who are you? The husband asked, probably his first words during the entire meal. We'll worry about that later, Priyanka said, but who the hell are you? Her husband, I presume. Ha. Yes, I am. Madam, this is a family matter, he said. Oh really? You call this a family? Doesn't look like a family to me, Priyanka said. I just see an old shrew and a loser wimp who are troubling these girls. Don't you have any shame? Is this what you married her for? See, here is another one, the mother-in-law said. Look at the girls of today, don't know how to talk, look at her, eyes made up. Like a heroine. The young girls know how to talk and behave. It is you old ones who need to be taught a lesson. These are your granddaughters, and you are calling them curses. Priyanka said, her nose a cuter red than before. I wanted to take a picture of that nose. Who are you, madam? What is your business here? The husband said, this time in a firmer voice. I'll tell you who I am, Priyanka said and fumbled in her handbag. She took out her call center ID card and flashed it for a nanosecond. Priyanka Sinha, CBI, Women's Cell. What? The husband said, in half disbelief. What is your car number? Priyanka said, talking in a flat voice. What? Why? The bewildered husband asked. Or should I go outside to check, she said and glanced at the keys on the table. Santro, isn't it? DGI 463. Why? The husband said. Priyanka took out her cell phone and pretended to call a number. Hello. Sinha here. Please retrieve records on DGI 463. Yes, Santro, thanks. Madam, what is going on? The husband said, his voice quivering. 3 years. Harassing women is punishable for 3 years. Quick trial, no appeal, Priyanka said and stared at the mother-in-law. The old woman pulled one of the twin granddaughters onto her lap. What? Madam, this is just a FFF family affair and, the husband stammered. Don't say family. Priyanka said, her voice loud. Madam, the mother-in-law said, her tone now sweet, as if someone had soaked her vocal cords in gulab jamuns, we are just here to have a meal. I don't even let her cook, see, we just had, shut up. We have your records now. We will keep track. If you mess around, your son and you can have lots of meals together, in jail. Sorry madam, the husband said with folded hands. He asked for the bill and fumbled for cash. Within a minute, they had paid and left. I looked at Priyanka with my mouth open. Don't say anything, she said, let's go. CBI. I said. Don't. Let's go. We sat in the Qualis I had borrowed from the call center driver. Stupid old witch, Priyanka said. I started to drive. 5 minutes later, Priyanka turned to me. Okay, you can say what you want now. I love you, I said. What? Why this now? Because, I love it when you stand up for something that you feel for. And that you do such a horrible job of acting like a CBI inspector. I love it when you want to order the cheapest dishes only because I'm paying for them. I love the coal in your eyes. I love it when your eyes light up when you have gossip for me. I love it that you say you don't want dessert and then ask me to change mine so you can have half. I love your stories about your mother. I love it that you believe in me and are patient with my career. Actually, you know what, Priyanka? I said. What? I may not be a heart surgeon, but the one little heart I have given it to you. Priyanka laughed aloud and put her hand on her face. Sorry, she said and shook her head, still laughing. Sorry, you were doing so well, but for the heart surgeon line. Now, that is seriously cheesy. You know what I said, and removed one hand from the steering wheel to tweak her nose. They should put you in jail for killing romantic lines. #11. I can't believe this, Radhika said and threw her mobile phone on her desk, breaking up my Pandra Road dream. Everyone turned to look at her. She covered her face with her hands and took a couple of deep breaths. What's up, Priyanka said. Nothing, Radhika said and heaved a sigh. She looked upset, but also younger at the same time. 5 years ago, Radhika must have been pretty, I thought. Tell no, Esha said. It's a nudge. Sometimes he can be so unreasonable, she said and showed her phone to Esha. On the screen was an SMS message. What is it? Priyanka said. Read it out, Radhika said as she fumbled through her bag for her anti-migraine pills. Damn, I only have one pill left. Really? Okay, Esha said and started reading the message. Show elders respect. Act like a daughter-in-law should. Good night. What did I do wrong? I was in a hurry, that is all, Radhika mumbled to herself as she took her pill with a sip of water. Esha put a hand on her shoulder. What happened? Esha asked softly. Women do this so well, a few seconds ago. She was squealing in excitement over Ganesh, now she was whispering in concern over Anuj. Anuj is in Kolkata on tour. He called home and my mother-in-law told him. Radhika made a face when I told her to crush the almonds a bit finer. Can you believe it? I was running to catch the qualies and still made her milk, Radhika said and started to press her forehead. Is this what mom and son talk about? Priyanka said. Radhika continued, and then she told him, I am old, if the pieces are too big they will choke my food pipe. Maybe Radhika is trying to kill me. Why would she say something so horrible? And you're still knitting a scarf for her? Vroom said, pointing at the knitting needles. Trust me, being a daughter-in-law is harder than being a model, Radhika said. The pill was starting to have an effect, her face was looking calm again. Anyway, leave my boring life and me. What's up? Ganesh calling soon or what? Are you okay? Esha said, still holding Radhika's arm. Yes, I'm fine. Sorry guys, I overreacted. It's just a little miscommunication between Anuj and me. Looks like your mother-in-law likes melodrama. She should meet my mother, Priyanka said. Really? Radhika said. Oh yes. She is the Miss Universe of melodrama. We cry together at least once a week. Though today, she is on cloud 9, Priyanka said. She pulled the landline closer to her. My attention was diverted by a call flashing on my screen. I'll take it, I said, raising my hand. Western Appliances, Sam speaking, how may I help you? It was one of my weird calls of the night. The caller was from Virginia and was having trouble defrosting his fridge. It took me 4 long minutes to figure out the reason. Turns out the caller was a big person, which is what Americans call fat people. Hence his fingers were too thick to turn the tiny knob in the fridge's compartment that would activate the defrosting mechanism. I suggested that he use a screwdriver or a knife. Fortunately, that solution worked after 7 attempts. Thank you for calling Western Appliances, sir, I said and ended the call. More politeness, Agent Sam. Be more courteous, I heard Baksh's voice and felt his heavy breath on my neck. Sir, you again? I said and turned around. Baksh's face was as shiny as ever. So oily, he probably slipped off his pillow every night. Sorry, I forgot something important, he said. Have you guys done the Western Computers website manual? I am finally sending the project report to Boston. Yes, sir. Vroom and I finished it yesterday, I said and took out a copy from my drawer. Bakshi said as he scanned the cover sheet. Western Computers Troubleshooting Website User Manual and Project Details. Developed by Connections, Delhi. Shyam Mira and Varun Malhora, Sam Marcy and Victor Mel. Do you have a soft copy that you can email me? Bakshi said. Boston wants it urgently. Yes sir, Vroom said, pointing to his computer, I have it stored here. I'll send it to you. Also, did you do the collation, Sam? Yes sir, I said and passed him the 10 sets. Excellent. I empowered you, and you delivered the output. Actually, I have another document, the board meeting invite. Can you help? What do I have to do? I said. Here is a copy back, she said, and gave me a 5-page document. I didn't print more this time. Can you Xerox 10 copies for me please? My secretary is off today. Sure sir, just Xeroxing right. Back she nodded. Sir, Vroom said, what is the board meeting for? Nothing, just routine management issues, back she said. Are people going to get fired? Vroom asked, his direct question making everyone spring to attention. Back she said, at his usual loss for words when asked something meaningful. There are rumors in the Western Computers main bay. We just want to know if we will be fine, Vroom said. Western appliances won't be affected, right? Escher said. Back she took a deep breath and said, I can't say much. All I can say is we are under pressure to right size ourselves. Right size? Radhika asked in genuine confusion. That means people are getting fired, right? Vroom said. Right size never meant otherwise. Back she did not respond. Sir, we need to increase our sales force to get new clients. Firing people is not the answer, Vroom said, with a boldness that was high even by his standards. Bakshi had a smirk on his face as he turned to Vroom. He put his hand on Vroom's shoulder. I like your excitement, Mr. Victor, he said, but a seasoned management has to study all underlying variables and come up with an optimal solution. It is not so simple. But sir, we can get more, Vroom was saying as Bakshi patted his shoulder twice and left. Vroom waited to ensure that Bakshi was out of the room before he spoke again. This is insanity. Bakshi's fucked up the place and they are firing innocent agents, he said, his voice at shouting levels. Stay calm, I said, and started assembling the sheets. Yes, stay calm. Like Mr. Xerox boy here, finds acceptance in everything. Priyanka said. Excuse me, I said, looking up. Are you talking about me? Priyanka kept quiet. I felt agitated inside and just had to respond. What is your problem? I come here, make 15 grand a month and go home. It sucks that people are being fired, and I am trying to do my best to save my job. Overall, yes, I accept my situation. And Vroom, before I forget, can you email Bakshi the user manual please? I'm doing it, Vroom said, as he clicked his mouse, though what is happening here is still wrong. Don't worry. We've done the website. We should be safe, I said. I hope so. Damn, it will suck if I lose my 15 grand a month. If I don't get my pizza thrice a week, I will die, Vroom said. You have pizza that often? Escher said. Isn't it unhealthy? Radhika asked. Despite the SMS argument, she was back to knitting her scarf. Knitting habits die hard, I guess. No way. Pizzas are the ultimate balanced diet. Look at the contents, grain in the crust, milk protein in the cheese, vegetables and meat as toppings. It has all the food groups. I read it on the internet, pizza is good for you. You and your net, Escher said. It was true. Vroom got all his information off the internet, bikes, jobs, politics, dating tips and, as I had just learnt, pizza nutrition as well. Pizzas are not healthy. I gain weight so fast if I have a lot of it, Priyanka said. Especially with my lifestyle. I hardly get time to exercise. On top of that, I just sit and work in a confined space. Priyanka's last 2 words made my heart skip a beat. Confined space means only one thing to me, that night at the 32nd milestone disco. #12. My past dates with Priyanka, 3. 32nd milestone, Gurgaon Highway 7 months before this night. I should not really call this one a date, since this time it was a group thing with Vroom and Escher joining us. I argued earlier with Priyanka about going out with work people, but she told me I should be less antisocial. Vroom picked 32nd milestone and the girls agreed because the disc had no door bitch. According to Priyanka, a door bitch is the hostess who stands outside the disco. She screens every girl walking in, and if your waist is more than 24 inches, or if you were not wearing something right out of an item number, the door bitch will raise an eyebrow at you like you are a 50-year-old auntie. Really? I never noticed those door girls before, I said as we took stools at the bar. It's a girl-to-girl thing. They size you up, and unless you are drop-dead gorgeous, you get that mental smirk, Priyanka said. So why should you care? You are gorgeous, I said. She smiled and pinched my cheek. Mental smirk. Girls and their coded communication. Anyway. Drink anyone. Vroom said. Long Island iced tea please, Escher said, and I noticed how stunning she looked with makeup. She wore a black fitted top and black pants. Her pants were so tight, she would probably have to roll them down when removing them. Long Island. Want to get drunk quick or what? I said. Come on. I need to distress. I ran around like mad last month chasing modeling agencies. Besides, I have to wash down last week's 1,000 calls, Escher said. That's right. 1,200 calls for me, Vroom said. Let's all have Long Islands. Vodka cran for me please, Priyanka said. She wore camel-colored pants and a pistachio green sequined kurti. I had given her the kurti as a gift on her last birthday. She had just a hint of eyeliner and a light gloss of lipstick. I preferred it to Escher's Asian paints job. Any luck with modeling assignments? I idly asked Escher. Not much. I did meet a talent agent. He said he would refer me to some designers and fashion show producers. I need to be seen in those circles, Escher said as she pulled her top down to cover her navel. Vroom went to the bartender to collect our drinks. I scanned the disc. The place had 2 levels, a dance floor on the mezzanine and a lounge bar on the first floor. A remixed version of Dil Shatta Hai played in the background. As it was Saturday night, the disc had more than 300 customers. They were all rich, or at least had rich friends who could afford drinks at over Rs 300 a cocktail. Our budget was a lavish $1,000 each, a treat for making it through the extremely busy summer period at the call center. I noticed some stick-thin models on the dance floor. Their stomachs were so flat, if they swallowed a pill you would probably see an outline of it when it landed inside. Escher's looks are similar, except she is a bit short. Check it out. She is totally anorexic. I can bet on it, Priyanka said, pointing to a pale-complexioned model on the dance floor. She wore a top without any sleeves or neck or collar. I guess the girls call it off-shoulder. Defying physics, it did not slip off, though most men waited patiently. The pale-complexioned model turned, displaying a completely bare back. Wow, I wish I were that thin. But, oh my god, look at what she is wearing, Escher said. I can't believe she is not wearing a bra, must be totally flat, Priyanka said. Girls. I said. Yes. Escher and Priyanka turned to me. I'm bored. Can you choose more inclusive conversation topics, I pleaded. I looked for Vroom. He had collected the drinks and was waving maniacally at us for help. I'll go, Escher said and went over to Vroom. Finally, to my relief, it was only Priyanka and I. So she said as she leaned forward to peck at my lips. You're feeling left out with our girly talk. Well, this was supposed to be a date. I forced myself to come with them. I haven't caught up with you in ages. I told you, Vroom asked me and I didn't want to be antisocial, Priyanka said as she ruffled my hair. But we'll go out for a walk in a bit. I want to be alone with you too, you know. Please, let's go soon. Sure, but they're here now, Priyanka said as Vroom and Escher arrived. Vroom passed us our drinks. We said cheers, and tried to sound lively and happy, as everyone in a disc always should. Congrats on the website, guys. I heard it's good, Escher said as she took a sip. The website is cool, Vroom said. The test customers love it. No more dialing. And it's so simple, just right for those spoon-feed-me Americans. So, promotion finally coming for Mr. Shyam here, Priyanka said. I noticed she had finished a third of her drink in just 2 sips. Now Mr. Shyam's promotion is another story, Vroom said. Maybe Mr. Shyam would like to tell it himself. Please, man. Some other time, I said, even as Priyanka looked at me expectantly. Okay, well, back, she said. He is talking to Boston to release headcount. But it will take a while. Why can't you just be firm with him? Priyanka said. Like how? How can you be firm with your own boss? I said, my voice loud with irritation. Cool it, guys, Vroom said. It's a party night and a big noise interrupted our conversation. We noticed a commotion on the dance floor as the DJ turned off the music. What's up? Vroom said and we all went towards the dance floor. A fight had broken out on the floor. A gang of drunken friends had thought someone had poured one of the girls with them. They accused that someone else and grabbed his collar. Soon, Mr. Accused's own gang came to his defense. As the dance floor was too noisy for vocal arguments, people expressed themselves only with fists and kicks. The music stopped when someone knocked one guy flat on the floor. Several others were on top of each other. Bouncers finally disentangled everyone and restored peace. A stretcher emerged to carry away the knocked out guy. Man, I wish it had gone on a bit longer, Vroom said. It's true. The only thing better than watching beautiful people in a disc is watching a fight. A fight means the party is totally rocking. 5 minutes later the music was back and occupying the floor again was the anorexic girls brigade. That is what happens to kids with rich dads and too much money, Vroom said. Come on, Vroom. I thought you said money is good. That is how we'll beat the Americans, right? Priyanka said with the confidence that comes after drinking a Long Island iced tea in 7 minutes. Yes, doesn't money pay for your mobile phones, pizzas and discos? I asked. Yes, but the difference is that I've earned it. These rich kids, they have no clue how hard it is to make cash, Vroom said and held up his glass. This drink is $300, it takes me almost a full night of 200 irritating Americans screaming into my ear to earn it. Then I get this drink, which is full of ice cubes anyway. These kids can't make that comparison. Oh, I feel so guilty drinking this now, Priyanka said. Come on, you get good money. Significantly more than the 8 grand you made as a journalist trainee, I said. Yes, Vroom said as he took a big 120 rupee sip. We get paid well, $15,000 a month. Fuck, that is almost $12 a day. Wow, I make as much a day as a US burger boy makes in 2 hours. Not bad for my college degree. Not bad at all. Fucking nearly double of what I made as a journalist anyway. He pushed his empty glass and it slid to the other end of the table. Everyone was silent for a minute. Vroom on his temper trip is unbearable. Stop being so depressed. Let's dance, Esha said and tugged at Vroom's hand. No, Vroom said. Come for one song, Esha said and stood up from her stool. Okay, but if anyone teases you, I'm not getting into a fight. Vroom said. Don't worry, no one will. There are prettier girls here, Esha said. I don't think so. Anyway, let's go, Vroom said as they went to the dance floor. The song playing was Sharira Sharira, one of Esha's favorites. Priyanka and I watched them dance from our seats. Want to go for a walk now? Priyanka said after a few minutes. Sure, I said. We held hands and walked out of 30-second milestone. The bouncer at the door stamped our palms so that we could re-enter the disco. We headed to the parking lot, as the music was softer there. My ears never felt so nice. It's so calm here, Priyanka said. I don't like it when Vroom gets all worked up. The boy needs to control his temper. Too much unchecked aggression going on there. He's young and confused. Don't worry, life will slap him into shape. I think he regrets moving to Connections sometimes. Besides, he has not taken his dad and mom's separation so well. It shows now and then. Still, he should get a grip on himself. Get a steady girlfriend maybe, that will help him relax. I think he likes Esha, I said. I don't know if Esha is interested. She's quite focused on her modeling trip. We reached our qualies. I opened the door to take out a pack of cigarettes. No smoking near me, she said and grabbed the pack from me. See, maybe it is not such a good idea to have a steady girlfriend, I said. Really? So Mr. Shyam is having second thoughts, she said, tilting her head. No, I said, and opened the qualies again. I took out a bottle. What's that? She asked. Some Bacardi we keep handy. It's $300 for a drink inside, the cost of this whole bottle. Cool. You guys are smart, Priyanka said and pulled at my cheek. Then she took a sip from the bottle. Careful. There's no need to get drunk just because it's free. Trust me. There is a need when you have a psycho parent. What happened now? Nothing. I don't want to talk about her today. Let's do a shot. The bottle's lid acted as one cup, and I broke the top of a cigarette packet for the other. We poured Bacardi into both and warmth traveled down from my lips to my insides as we tossed down our first shot. I'm sorry about the bakshi comment I made inside, she said. It's all right. Doesn't matter, I said, and wondered if we should do shot number 2 now or later. I can be a bitch sometimes. But I do make it up to you. I'm a loving person. No, she said, high from mixing her drinks. You're just fine, I said and looked at her moist eyes. Her nose puckered up a bit and I could have looked at it forever. So she said. So what? I said, still hypnotized by her nose. Why are you looking at me like that? She said and smiled. Like what? The come hither look. I see mischief in your eyes, mister, she said playfully, grabbing both my hands. There is no mischief, that's just your imagination, I said. We'll see, she said and came up close. We hugged as she kissed me on my neck. Listen, she said. What? I mumbled. When was the last time we made love? Oh, don't even ask. It's really pathetic, over a month ago. It was true. The only place we made love was my house when it was empty. However, recently my mom had started staying more at home because of the cold. She had even given up her favorite pastime of meeting relatives. Have you ever made love in confined spaces? What? I said loudly, right into her ear. Ouch, she said, rubbing her ear. Hello. You heard me right. What are you talking about? Well, we have the time, soft music and a desolate spot. So, step into the Qualys, my friend, she said and opened the door. I climbed into the back seat and she followed me. Our Qualys was parked right behind the disco, and we could hear the music if we were quiet. The song changed to Mahi V from the movie Can't. I love this song, she said and sat astride my lap, facing me. It's a pole dancer song. You know that? I said. Yes. But I like the lyrics. Their love is true, but fate has something else in store. I never focus on the lyrics. You just notice the scantily clad girls in the video, she said and ran her fingers through my hair. I stayed silent. So, you didn't answer my question, have you made love in confined spaces, she said. Priyanka, are you crazy or are you drunk? She unbuttoned the top few buttons of my shirt. Both. Okay, mister, the thing about confined spaces is that you have to cooperate. Now move your hands out of the way, she said. We were quiet, apart from our breathing. She confirmed that the windows were shut and ordered me to remove my shirt. She took off her kurti first, and then slowly unhooked her bra. Be careful with your clothes. We'll need to find them quickly afterwards, she said. Are you mad? I gasped even as I raised my arms so she could pull my shirt over my head. She moved to keep my shirt aside and her foot landed on my left baby toe. Ouch. I screamed. Oops, sorry, she said in a naughty apologetic tone. As she moved her foot away, her head hit the roof. Ouch, she said. Sorry, this isn't as elegant as in the Titanic movie. It's all right. Clumsy sex is better than choreographed sex. And certainly better than no sex, I said as I pulled her close. By the way, do you have a condom, she said. Yes, sir. We live in constant hope, I said as I pulled out my wallet. We laughed as she embraced me. She started kissing me on my face. I kissed her shoulders. In a few moments, I forgot I was in the company Qualys. 20 minutes later we collapsed in each other's arms on the back seat. Amazing. That is simply amazing, Ms. Priyanka. My pleasure, sir, she said and winked at me. Can we lie here and talk for a while? Sure, I said, reaching for my clothes. She cuddled me again after we had dressed. Do you love me? She asked. Her voice was serious. More than anybody else on this planet, and that includes me, I said, caressing her hair. You think I'm a caring person, she said. Her voice told me she was close to tears. Why do you keep asking me that? I said. My mother was looking at our family album today. She stopped at a picture of me when I was 3 years old. I'm sitting on a tricycle and my mother is pushing me. She saw that picture, and you know what she said. What? She said I was so cute when I was 3. You're cute now, I said and pressed her nose like a button. And she said I was so loving and caring then and that I wasn't so loving anymore. She said she always wondered what had made me so heartless, Priyanka said and burst into tears. I held her tight and felt her body shake. I thought hard about what I could say. Guys can never figure out what to say in such emotional moments and always end up saying something stupid. Your mother is crazy, don't say anything about my mother. I love her. Can you just listen to me for 5 minutes? Priyanka said. Of course. Sorry, I said as her sobs grew louder. I swore to myself to stay quiet for the next 5 minutes. I started counting my breath to pass time. 16 a minute is my average. 80 breaths would mean I had listened to her for 5 minutes. We weren't always like this. My mom and I were best friends. Until class 8, I think. Then as I became older, she became crazier, she said. I wondered if I should point out that she had just told me not to call her mom crazy. However, I had promised myself I would keep quiet. She had different rules for me and my brother. And that began to bother me. She would comment on everything I wore, everywhere I went, whereas my brother, she would never say anything to him. I tried to explain it to her, but she just became more irritating, and by the time I reached college, I couldn't wait to get away from her. I said, calculating that almost half my time must have passed. My leg was cramping. When sex is over, confined spaces are a pain. All through college I ignored her and did what I wanted. In fact, this hold on T-care phase was born out of that. But at one level, I felt so guilty. I tried again to connect with her after college. But she had a problem with everything, my thinking, my friends, my boyfriend. The last word caught my attention. I had to speak, even though only 57 breaths had passed. Sorry, but did you say boyfriend? Well, yeah. She knows I'm with you. And she has this thing about me finding someone settled. Settled. The words rewound and repeated itself in my head several times. What does that mean anyway? Just someone rich, or someone who gets predictable cash flows at the end of every month. Except parents do not say it that way because then it really sounds like they are trading their daughter to the highest bidder. But in some ways, they are. They do not give a damn about love or feelings or crap like that. Show me the money and keep our daughter for the rest of your life. That is the arrangement in an arranged marriage. What are you thinking about, she said. I'm a loser according to your mom, isn't it? I said. That is not what I said. Don't you bring up Bakshi and my promotion every time we have a conversation. I said, moving away. Why do you get so defensive? Anyway, if Bakshi doesn't promote you, you can look for another job. I'm tired of job hunting. There is nothing good out there. And I'm tired of rejections. Moreover, what is the point of joining another call center? I'll just have to start as a junior agent all over again, without you, without my friends. And let me tell you this, I may not be team leader, but I am happy. I am content. You realize that? And tell your drama queen mom to come say it to my face that I am a loser. And she can send you off with whichever fucking settled annuity income earner she likes. I am what I am, I said, my face beetroot red. Shyam, please can you try and understand? Understand what? Your mother. No, I can't. And you can't either, but I suspect deep down you might agree with her. Like, what am I doing with this loser, I said. Stop talking nonsense, Priyanka shouted. I just made love to you, for God's sake. And stop using that loser word, she said, and broke into tears again. 2 brief knocks on the window disturbed our conversation. It was Vroom. Esha was standing next to him. Hello. I thought we came together. You lovebirds are inseparable, eh? He said.